Live at Oilers Nation YouTube. If you haven't checked out the show, you should. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. You can win free stuff just by subscribing. It's very easy. We've given tickets away and many other stuff, so we'll see. We'll get our camera focused a little bit, and we'll rock and roll this afternoon on what should be a busy Friday. Lots going on. Lots going on. Coming on the show today, of course, Lorianne Munzer will be by. We will hear from Spec. Lowetide Dan Rosen will be here talking all things NHL. Brian Diardo from CBS Sports. Talk a little NFL. Elks have a bye. Not playing this weekend. Oil Kings, though, in action twice. Tonight and Sunday. Both at home. The Oilers in action twice. They're in Calgary tonight, and then they are in Vancouver tomorrow. Local product Carter Savoy will make his first preseason appearance tonight, as will Jack Campbell, as he gets the start in goal and is expected to play all 40 minutes. It's another edition of the 2-Minute Warning with Cam Tate. Also on Sunday here on Sports 1440, we will switch over and have 24/7 sports on Sundays and Saturdays and 21 hours of sports talk on weekdays. So looking forward to that. Jason Smith, who is on from 9 to midnight on weeknights on Fox. He'll join us, kind of give you a preview of what you can expect. So some nighttime sports radio. I know many of you are driving around. You just get used to it. You're like, hey, I want to lock it in on 1440. I want to have sports as much as I can. And that's what you will have starting on Sunday, which is fantastic. Of course, last night, speaking of fantastic, I'd be curious to know how many people selected David Montgomery early in their fantasy draft. Because we had a guy in our league who selected him, I think, in the fourth round. And now he did have a few extra picks, so it wasn't like his fourth pick. But lots of guys were ripping on him, and David Montgomery is absolutely killing it right now. Had 3 touchdowns last night, 121 yards rushing. If you have him in fantasy, you're pretty happy, I would think. The Packers, young quarterback, looked like a rookie. Mr. Love was given too much love to the Detroit defense early in that game. So we will touch on that today. As always, you can get involved. You can text us 833-401-1440. It's in our Jiffy Lube inbox. It's also our phone number, 833-401-1440. You can email us, Gregor at sports1440.ca, Connor at sports1440.ca. This just coming down. Austin Eckler limited today, and it looks like he is doubtful, as is safety Derwin James. Joey Bosa is questionable. So doubtful for Eckler and James, Connor. Doubtful for your man Bosa.
Yeah, that's certainly not ideal. I mean, Joey Bosa's been battling injury for the last couple of weeks here. Derwin James at the hamstring that took him out of the game last week, and Austin Eckler, I suppose that's not too big of a surprise. They have the bye week in week 5, so that hopefully gives them a chance to be healthy. With the Chargers' luck, they'll be healthy for 1 or 2 games before they get hurt again. But hey, it's Raiders week, and you just let Justin Herbert sling that thing 50 times a game, and you got a shot. That's got to be the Chargers' motto here.
Well, yeah, why not? You got a really good quarterback. Why wouldn't you? It's pass happy league. Gun it down.
Sit back and shotgun. No need to go under center. Don't even try to look like you're running the ball. Just let Herbie carve him up.
All right. That's your game plan?
It's looking like it. Yeah. Josh Kelly wasn't too effective last week.
That's fair. He wasn't. As far as the rest of the lineup, trying to get to official on who is playing tonight for the Oilers or not. I don't think I've seen the 100% lineup. Have you, Cons?
Yeah.
You did?
I had it posted up on the Sports 1440 Facebook page, actually. So if you want to go give us a follow, that'd be great. Yeah, it was posted. I don't know who you want to hear from. We've got Cody Ceci, Kulak, Darnay, Peters, Kemp, Niemelainen, Hoffenmeyer. And then up front, it looks like Kajula, Derek Ryan, Greg McKegg, great name, Blade Peterson, Seth Griffin, Brad Malone, Fogle, Savoy, Bourgault, Holloway, Hamlin, and Lavoie.
So similar lineup to what we saw on the road in Winnipeg, right, on Monday. So I would think you will have, after tonight, I could see a few more cuts probably tomorrow morning before they jet out for their 2-game road trip. I think you would see McDavid and Draisaitl play one of those 2 road games. I'd be surprised if they played both, to be honest. I'm not even sold that they'll play the final 2 home games. A lot of it's going to come down to the conversation with the coaching staff or not. But there's lots of young guys that you just listed off, Con Man, who have hey, you're in the show me state right now. The guys who want to make an impression, like James Hamlin might not be here to start the season, but he wants to make it pretty clear to the coaching staff that, hey, you recall me, I'm ready to play. So there's lots of guys to look for tonight in that game if that tickles your fancy. Hey guys, what's your thoughts on the score ranking? Colorado over Edmonton is the most watchable NHL team this season from JP. I would say this, JP. How many national games are Colorado on in the United States? Edmonton's not even an American city, and they're on 18. Why? Because they have the 2 leading offensive scorers in the league. They have the best power play. They're entertaining. But so is Makar and McKinnon and Rantanen. I get it. Yeah, you got to remember that the score did exactly what you wanted. They got you to talk about them. Honestly, I see it all the time. You want to call it clickbait or whatever. People make rankings. They're like, well, we got to be different. We got to do something that someone's going to get upset about. Who cares? That's what I would say. I'll tell you, as an Oiler fan, are you going to watch every game? Yes. So does it matter if somebody ranks Colorado as more watchable? Trust me, I'd watch Makar, McKinnon, and Rantanen, 100%. But I'm pretty sure McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard, Nugent Hopkins and Kane and Hyman, to go down the list, might say, well, I think we're pretty entertaining too. So I wouldn't get too upset about it. Hey guys, can't the Oilers just get rid of Fogle from Walnuts in the Park? Here's the thing. To just get the Edmonton Oilers don't have enough depth to just give away players. Let's just get rid of Warren Fogle for nothing. Because I want Dylan Holloway to be the 3rd line left winger. Okay. Now who's your 4th line left winger? Like, getting rid of Warren Fogle would allow you, in theory, if you wanted, if you replaced him on the roster with guys with cheaper contracts, then yes, you could carry a 23-man roster. Does it make your NHL roster better? Getting rid of Fogle so you can keep Lavoie and Sutter and one more forward. Does it make you better? I don't think it does. So I think I could see in the offseason, because then, you have the offseason to plan on, okay, which left winger are we going to sign for cheaper? Right? That's what you do. But I'm not, like, you can't just replace a guy unless you have somebody who's as good. And so if you think Dylan Holloway is good, and he might be, but then who's as good as Dylan Holloway to play the 4th line left wing? Right? The Edmonton Oilers are here to win. Right? Carrying 23 players is a luxury, but I don't think it makes their team better. Now, if you could trade Fogle for a player that you think helps you and is cheaper, I'm all for it. But I'm not all for just getting rid of players for nothing. Happy Positive Friday, Greggs. You know if Jack Michaels will be calling the Oiler games again this year? Yes, of course, Mr. Michaels. And I'll be honest, it's surprising to me that Jack doesn't get any playoff games. I'll say that flat out. I think he's one of the more entertaining play-by-play guys around. And in the playoffs, when the emotions are higher, he'd add to it. He can really ramp it up when need be and gets people fired up. I think this year he is calling 68 It's either 66 or 68 of the Oiler games, because obviously there's some national games, and so they have the national crew that does that. But it's either 66 or 68 games that he will call on TV this year. So I know Oiler fans have become pretty big fans of that. So there you go. Hey guys, I just have to say, from Uncool Dad, I freaking love the Brass Bonanza. Well, that, you know what? It might make you the cool dad. You might have to change your moniker, because it's that cool.
Brandon told me something today that Carius shared his thoughts on the Brass Bonanza. And he said he thinks the approval rating's around 70%. Seems low to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's passing, but I think he's inaccurate there.
Like, what would Carius know about the Brass Bonanza? He's pretty much a rookie when it comes to it.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say so.
He's rather a rookie. So, like, there's nothing that's 100% approval rating. Well, maybe there is. But, like, what would be 100% approval rating? Did you? That's a good question. Like, some people even now, well, it'd be hard to say Gretzky's not the most productive player all time in NHL, the most dominant player when you look at just points ahead of anybody else in their sport. Actually, you know what? Jerry Rice, greatest receiver. Would that be 100% approval rating?
Yeah, I think so.
That might be.
Mariano Rivera, Hall of Famer. He got 100% of the votes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. But that's only 500 voters. Right?
Yeah.
Like 100% approval rating is like everybody. So it's hard to find 100% approval rating. The Brass Bonanza is good. I don't think it's 100%.
I'd say it's
a solid 90 or higher. Right?
Yeah, it's Ozzie Smith. It's 91.74. Hall of Fame.
Oh, there you go.
Roberto Alomar, 90%. Yeah.
Ozzie Smith, 91. Eh? God,
yeah.
He was unbelievable as defensive shortstop, man. Oh, so talented. Also today on a Positive Friday, I'd like to take a second just to, today is the 23rd anniversary. Anniversary might not be the best word to use, but that's just what it is, of the passing of my father. We called him Wild Willie, my brother and I. It's what he was, a cool dad, and he never took himself too serious. He allowed his two teenage sons to call him Wild Willie because, at times he could fly off the handle. Never in a mean way. He could just he could blow up, and then 5 seconds later he's smiling. Hey, what's going on? Like, it was never, it wasn't scary mean. He was just, when we worked in the barnyard, he had a short fuse, as did I. So it was comedy at times, I'm sure, for others watching, but even for the two of us. And I many years ago when he passed away, it was a surprise. Of course, he had a heart attack in his car at 56. Had gone for a physical the month before and had passed. Had quit smoking a few years earlier. They said he was in really good shape. He wasn't overweight, and it was just unfortunately his time. And the morning of his funeral, I couldn't really sleep, and then I'd just written an article, an email to some of my close friends, just kind of expressing my thoughts and asking them if they could do me a favor that day and call their dad or hug their dad, and that maybe my dad would know for sure. And we had a good relationship, so thankfully I never had any regrets. My dad knew I loved him. I knew my dad loved me, so I was lucky about that. I know that's not always the case for some people, and the best advice I would give anybody right now is if you and your dad, even your mom, maybe aren't on talking terms or in the best of terms, reach out, because the last thing you want is a sudden passing. Now, I guess maybe there are some things you don't want to forgive, and so I'm not going to judge on that. But if it's one where you say, you know what, maybe we could probably move past it, it will help you, because the last thing you want is any sort of regret after they're gone, that at least you didn't try. If you try and they don't reciprocate, then you can say, you know what, I tried. But I did want to do a shout out to all the fathers. It's something that I really watch for. I'm kind of tired of how fathers are portrayed in sitcoms and stuff. And I'm all for comedy, but you know what? Men and fathers are much more than just kind of the laughable, bumbling guy who needs a wife to take care of everything. I think there's a lot more to that. It's great to have a partner who can help you at times, no question. But I think men are more than that. And there's actually lots of data and numbers that back it up. And fatherhood's very important. And if you are a father, I hope you take it serious. I hope you're able to see your kids if you happen to be divorced. At times I think our court system's archaic and it grossly doesn't help men who want to be fathers and want to be present see their kids. And there's lots of studies on how that is damaging emotionally for both the father and their children. And so hopefully you can be in a situation that your ex can be amicable enough that she understands it's not about your relationship with each other. It's about the relationship with your children. And there was a book called The Father and Child Reunion. Did extensive research about fathers. And it talked about dad deprivation, which is a lack of time with your father, and how it has significant leading cause of 25 different social, psychological, academic, and physical problems from children. 71% of high school dropouts have minimal or no father involvement. Living in a home without a dad is more highly correlated with suicide amongst kids and teenagers than any other factor. 90% of runaway and homeless youth are from fatherless homes, and the list goes on and on. So if you're a dad, take it serious. Love your kids. It's very important. They need you. To all of those dads who are, I tip my hat. I see it all the time. I make note of it. I see fathers. You know what? It might be a simple thing. I love dads who hold their kids' hand in the mall. I don't know why. I just think it's great. My son still at 9 will go for a walk every now and then. He holds my hand. It's a great feeling. Wrestling with your son or your daughter is one of the greatest things you can do. I don't care how old they are. It's so fun. And especially amongst dads and sons, it's a way to bond. No question. It just, my son asks to wrestle all the time. He loves it. It's fun. Even if I give him a little bit extra sauce now that he's getting older, it's great. And I just wanted to point out to the dads that are the ones who go above and beyond, the ones who are emotionally available to their kids, physically available to your kids. Sometimes you don't get, it's not instant payback. It's like a long-term investment. And trust me, there will be a payback at some point. Most of us, you think about it now, especially when you become a father yourself or an adult, you kind of, geez, my dad and mom, they're pretty good. Maybe better than I expected at the time. And so you do it because it's important. Be present with your kids. Support them. Go to their sporting events. Just be there. You don't even have to say anything. They just like to look in the crowd and see your face and see you smile. That's all you have to do. So on a positive Friday, I just wanted to say thanks to all the dads who are invested in their children because it makes society healthier. And I see those men who want to be but are struggling due to a court system that isn't always in our favor. So I hope it works out for you. Also, I hope if you can today, call your old man. I can tell you from experience, I'm not one who lives in what ifs. I move on from things pretty quickly, but I will tell you there is very few times where I wouldn't like one more conversation with my dad. He wasn't around when I started in radio. We used to listen to sports talk radio all the time. I know he'd be proud, but it'd still be different just to hear him. So you never know. My dad was healthy and one day he was gone. So if you can, give him a call, give him a hug, tell him you love him. It'll make his day more than you know. We'll come back on the Jason Gregor Show on Edmonton Sports Leader, TSN 1260.
First Round is Edmonton's NFL headquarters. Get in the game and watch NFL football this season at First Round. And you'll have a chance to win a trip to your favorite NFL city to watch a game in person next season. And the hits keep on coming with food and drink specials, big screen TVs, and more. Catch the Pro Bowl brunch every Sunday, Monday Night Football, and head in Thursdays for your chance to win an NFL replica helmet. NFL at First Round. Burgers, beer, sports. Downtown West Edmonton Mall and at 1strnd.ca.
Are you ready to light up your game like Edmonton lights up the ice?
Then choose Ewell.
Electrical Wholesalers Edmonton Limited offers lightning fast service. Just like your favorite forward, they deliver your electrical supplies in record time.
Plus winning quality. They only stock the best.
And don't forget about their all-star support. When it comes to customer service, they're the playmakers.
So don't sit in the dark. Make the power play and visit Ewell today. Online at ewel.ca, where excellence in electrical meets the heart of hockey.
Our cars are our lifeline, and every now and then we need to take care of them too. Cochran's Automotive services your vehicle with pride. When you need to fix it up, bring the whole family fleet. Junior's WRX, Mom's MPV, Dad's 1500, or even Grandpa's old 88. All makes and models are welcome. Trust Cochran's Automotive to professionally repair your family's pride and joy. They've got you covered for Volkswagen diesel timing belts too.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Try their new one-topping garlic or spicy garlic epic stuffed crust for $21.99 for a limited time, only at papajohns.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We continue on Positive Friday on Sports 1440, Edmonton Sports Authority. Hey, Greg, I think there's 100% approval rating on Joey Moss. Good one. I like that one. Hey, Greg's 100% approval rating on Good Dads. I like that too. It's very important. So awesome. Hey, I totally missed it in the first segment, but speaking of good, we have 4 loge seats to the Iron Maiden concert tomorrow. And is it with a parking pass too, Cons?
Yeah, we got a parking pass included.
Ooh, our good buddy Carrie from Trilogy donate those. So wants to auction them off for Gregor's Gretz today. So you want a 4-pack tickets to the Loge tomorrow. Carrie can't go. And it'll go to Gregor's Gretz. So you get a parking pass, 4 seats in the Loge. It's going to be a hell of a ripper. Quite the banging party. Hey, there's a select few people who can handle going to an Iron Maiden concert. Strutty, not one of them. Me, probably not. Definitely don't have the hair. Like, you know what? Like, that's a concert where if you have the longer hair, like, just an advantage. It's just an advantage. That's how it goes. So if you want in on that, you can text or call. It's the same number, 833-401-1440. Just put your name and your bid amount, and the best, highest bid is going to go. You might get a great deal. Who knows? So 4 Loge seats to the concert tomorrow night. Nice. Let's get to the NFL report now, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Don't be cold this winter. Stay warm at legacyheating.ca. As Brian Diardo joins us from CBS. Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. You know, if I wasn't in Columbus, I'd be bidding for one of those tickets, even though I don't know if I could pull off going either. I have almost no hair left. But yeah, good luck to whoever gets them, and it's always good being with you on the show.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. So, you know what? It's been kind of a crazy start to the NFL season. There's always a few key injuries, and you know there's a few surprise teams. There's been some dominant teams. I talked about Montgomery, the running back, just not even just from a fantasy perspective, from a production perspective. I don't know if anybody thought he'd be running like this and scoring this many touchdowns early on.
No, and I am one of them. I actually dropped him for my fantasy team prior to yesterday's game, so not too thrilled with myself in that regard. But yeah, I mean, he's a battering ram. He was a good player with the Bears, but seems like with a lot of players, maybe Justin Fields will be the next guy that leaves, has success somewhere else. But he fits exactly what the Lions and Dan Campbell want to do. Just physical, pounding, punishing football, and it helped last night. They had the lead basically from the start. They gave up that early field goal, but they were able to control the ball on offense, and he was a huge component in that. And he did have a little bit of a nagging injury this weekend, which is one of the reasons why I wasn't very high on him going into the game. And then they have Jamar Gibbs, a first-round pick, but for whatever reason, they're more confident with Montgomery. So he's certainly, been a surprise. And in general, I think a lot of people thought this Lions team would be good, and they're certainly following suit, 3-1 in the way they're winning with defense, with running, and with Jared Goff, 11-3 in his last 14 starts. Pretty remarkable during the last stretch of games here for the Lions.
It's great that you bring up Goff, because there was a lot of people that are like, man, this guy's no good. They got to get rid of him in LA. And you know what? He's fit in Detroit. And I think he's pretty accurate, but he doesn't take a lot of high risks. So I don't know if that's the play calling or that's just his maturity or a combination of both.
I think it's those are all good points you just mentioned. I think it's one of the things is they understand who he is, right? And he understands who he is at this point in his career. And he's very smart. He did throw that interception. I think it was his first pick in he had a 10-game stretch where he didn't throw any. Now he's thrown 3-1 in his last 3 games. But to your point, he does take care of the ball. He's deadly accurate on short passes, and you saw that last night. He had several really good, impressive third down completions that were really key to the Lions' success, and then building that 27-3 lead. And he also has good proven targets. They brought in Josh Reynolds from the Rams that he played with. Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the more underrated, players in this league. They have a very smart, good, sound offensive line. But I just think it's in general, it's Goff at this point in his career. He's almost 30. He's around that age. He's very sure of who he is at this point in his career. But again, like any quarterback, you give him time, he's going to make the right throws. He's always been an accurate player. I just think that, when you look at what Stafford's doing with the Rams, a lot more running around, rolling out. That's not really Goff's game. He's more of your pocket passer, and that's what we're seeing in Detroit.
Talking all things NFL, Brian Diardo from CBS. And Brian, you look at Pittsburgh. I see you got the Pittsburgh. I like that hoodie, by the way. But you got the Steelers and Ravens and the Browns at 2-1, and the Bengals obviously were off to a slow start. They're 1-2. A lot of people thought this was going to be a very competitive division. I don't think the first 3 weeks have changed anything at all. But is there one thing about the Steelers maybe that's impressed you more than you were expecting through 3 games?
Yeah, I'm celebrating my Pirates getting the over for me this season. It was like only 67, so I thought that was a pretty good bet. But I digress. But yeah, I think with the Steelers, it's surprising how good their defense has been. A lot of turnovers forced the first 3 games. They had 2 defensive touchdowns against the Browns, and then this past weekend against the Raiders had 2 big interceptions. Or 3 interceptions actually in that game. And I think that's been the biggest key for them. I mean, we knew TJ Watt would be really good. I mean, he's on a tear so far this season. 6 sacks already, a couple of forced fumbles, fumble recovery, defensive touchdown. I'm surprised, so we knew they'd have that. But they lost Cam Hayward, but they've still been pretty good on run defense. The surprise to me has been how bad the offense has been. Now, they did get better against the Raiders, albeit the Raiders' defense isn't very good, and they faced 2 very, very good defenses in the first 2 weeks. But I'm surprised how slow that offense has started out with, given how good they were in the preseason. I do think that they will continue this upward trajectory that we saw. They're going to play Houston this weekend, whose defense isn't that great. But that offensive line has to get better. They're not running the football very well, which is certainly hurting Kenny Pickett. Any quarterback's not going to be able to reach his potential when your running game isn't as good. So they've got to do better there. There's reports that they were interested in Jonathan Taylor. I don't necessarily buy that. I think they're still high on Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. But I do think that offense, once that offense picks up, they're going to continue to roll here.
Miami and Buffalo is likely the game of the week that many will be watching. We saw Miami do things we haven't seen since 1966, putting up 70 points on the Denver Broncos. And it's how they're doing it, Brian. They've got so much motion for their guy, and not just on passing plays, but a significant amount on running plays. It's really open on the running attack. Like the offense, it's suited for them because they got a bunch of speedsters, probably the fastest position guys in the NFL across the board. How do you defend them if you're the Bills?
Stay at home. You got to be smart. You got to stay at home, right? You can't try to shoot angles. You can't be over aggressive. You can't over pursue. You've got to stay at home. You kind of have to be a little defensive, which I know most defenses don't want to do, right? You want to be an attacker. You want to be the aggressor. Unless you're doing Spygate and you know you can anticipate the play they're going to run, you've got to stay at home. You've got to be good sound tacklers, and you've got to be smart with your blitz packages. And I think those are all key components. And you've got to put Miami in 3rd and long situations, which, Denver didn't do basically anything right last week. But that's one of the things they didn't do right? I mean, Miami had they almost had no 3rd downs. When they were in 3rd downs, they weren't in, must pass situations. So those are huge keys. And you obviously want to get a good lead on them. You want to force them to have to play maybe from behind a little bit and get away from what they want to do. But they are very, very, I mean, I think, and the thing people forget about McDaniels was he was the run game coordinator, for the 49ers. And I think that's one thing that teams aren't good at anymore. People aren't very creative with their running plays. It's like now when teams can pick what they want to be creative with, it's all the passing. Well, they're not, what McDaniels and them have done in Miami is they're as creative with the running game as anybody. But I think if you stay at home, you mind your P's and Q's with your gaps, you can beat this team. I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC. You can question it. I would question it. I think Allen is a very good player. I think they have a very good defense. Matt Milano is very underrated. Tre'Davious White's back. He's been nicked up the last year or so. I think when they're healthy, they're the best team. Their running game, conversely, is why I'm a little bit worried about them. But I think other than that, I think they're a good team. I think they'll beat Miami this weekend.
Brian Diardo joins us. Brian, what do you make of the Saints and the Bucks? You're going head to head, so it's an interesting game. But where do you see those two? Are they a real competitor? Or are they just in a weak division?
They're in a weak division. I mean, I think they're in a weak division. I think the Saints are what we expected. We knew they'd have a really good defense, and Derek Carr is okay. He's pretty good. He was going to win, maybe 9 games, 8 games with him at quarterback, right? They're going to get Alvin Kamara back this weekend. He didn't play already, the first month of the season. So, we'll see, the impact that he is going to have on the Saints. But, and the Buccaneers, they're a surprise to me. I thought that Baker Mayfield, I wasn't quite sure how he would do there. Didn't look good in the preseason, but again, he's another example of how you can't read too much into what happens in the preseason. I know they had all that drama with Mike Evans and his contract, but they put that behind them, and he's done great so far this season. I think Tampa Bay is the better of the two teams. I think they'll win this weekend. To your point, I think that they're in a weak. I think they're in a nice competitive division, but I don't see any team in that division. Atlanta included. They've got a game in Jacksonville and London this weekend. I don't think any of those teams are going to make noise in the NFC playoffs, but I do think that Tampa's a nice story. They're a nice, sound team, and I think they'll win this weekend.
What do you make of the Taylor Swift? Like, lots of people, hey, you know what? If Taylor Swift's a pretty big musician worldwide, obviously it helped Kelsey's jersey sales, which is great. But, like the NFL is a pretty big dog. But when you get one of the most popular musicians associating with your brand, it can't be a bad thing. The NFL's got to be loving this.
Oh, they are. And I think I actually just wrote something that I think they're going to have bracelets handed out. The NFL is going to hand out like bracelets with Sunday ticket during this game. So like they're capitalizing on it. Travis Kelce, as you said, is already capitalizing on it. I don't know if like this does anything for Taylor though, right? Like she's already like Michael Jackson level popularity. So I don't know if this does much for her. But I do think it is a fun story. I'm not necessarily tired of it yet. It's content. We can all use content. I know I have some coworkers who may not necessarily agree with me there. And I am a fan of her music. I think my wife is. She's kind of got me kind of into it. I think it's a fun story, right? Unfortunately, we've had some negative stories. Chandler Jones is kind of the opposite of it, right? That's a kind of a sad, unfortunate story. So whenever you can get things like this that can kind of lighten it and kind of add to the entertainment value, I'm all for it.
Yeah, the Chandler Jones story looks very sad because you definitely just wonder how his mental health is and, what he's been posting on Twitter, and then he's been arrested. So like, I don't know how this story ends for him. I just, historically, it doesn't look like it's going to end very well, which is disappointing. And, hopefully he gets the help he needs, because clearly he's, he needs some help at some level.
Yeah, he does for sure. And I think, hopefully, what happened today, because apparently it seems like he has been arrested, but you hope that this can be the beginning, right? Like this is the start of his trajectory or wherever he's going to go as far as recovery. But I didn't think it was a great thing that he was kind of out, and able kind of to operate under his own accord the last couple of days. Because he's obviously shown that he's not making great decisions, especially on social media. So yeah, hopefully he can get the help that he needs, and that he can move forward in a positive light. But yeah, it is a kind of an unfortunate situation for sure.
And lastly, Brian, I just got to ask you, what's the hype in Pittsburgh about Erik Karlsson coming in with Crosby and Malkin? Are people believing that the Pens got one more run in them?
That is an amazing question. I think the optimists think that they can be like a 16-17 again, where they can cobble that together when people thought that it was just going to be one cup after 2009. The GM right now, he's definitely having his honeymoon. The moves that he's, like you said, with Karlsson, the transactions they've made, it's still an older roster, right? I think that's still kind of the fear. I don't know. I think the realism, I think it's very similar to the Steelers. I think you think that they can win maybe a playoff series, and then we'll go from there. It's crazy. They haven't won a playoff series, I don't think, since 2018. So it's been like 5 years. But I need to ask you, I do like the Penguins. I am from there, but what's up with my Blue Jackets? They hired Babcock, then they didn't get him. Like, are we going to be any good? Because I feel like we're back to being like the laughing stock of the NHL. So I think the Penguins are going to be fine. I'm more concerned about the Blue Jackets and where we're going to go.
Oh, hey, the Blue Jackets, man. There's many reasons why to question the initial hiring of Mike Babcock. And then obviously, we had Mike Commodore on. He actually think this might galvanize that team.
I hope so.
They really like the new coach. So we'll have to see. They're definitely, like, as they can stay healthy, they'll be way better than they were last year. But, I'm curious if they have enough center skill to compete.
Yeah, and that's been their question for a long time, has been their centers, among other things. But yeah, we're a very passionate fan base. We love the team. We need more reasons to go other than if they get their third goal, we get free pizza. That's carried them long enough. We need to get some on ice production.
That's awesome, Brian. Thanks so much, man. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the busy weekend of football and hockey.
You too. Pleasure to be with you.
You betcha. That was Brian Diardo joining us. It's got I like that he bet the over on 67 wins for the Pittsburgh Pirates when he got it. See, that's a long play. They're going all year on that. Good for him. I am curious about the Bucks and the Saints and who end up being the best team in that division, Cons.
I think you'd be right to wonder that. I mean, it's kind of what's the opposite of sexy? Boring. Just a boring division. Like the quarterback play, it's a whole lot of meh. Like Baker Mayfield is gonna have a couple games, but you know he's gonna look awful at some point and do some boneheaded things. Derek Carr, exact same thing. At least with Jameis Winston, we'll get some excitement because he's gonna throw into triple coverage a couple times and try to make some magic happen. Panthers, Falcons, same sort of thing. But yeah, I kind of want to see what happens with Jameis Winston out there. I think in terms of entertainment value, he's going to make this one worth watching.
All right.
Whenever he's out there, he's fun.
That was the NFL Report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. J-Dog's in at 500 for the Ironman ticket, so we're off and running there. That's great. It's 4 low seats and a parking pass. It's tomorrow night's concert. Pretty sweet deal right now. We'll come back. We got 2-minute warning with Cam Tate and more on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
It's time to gear up for fall at Wolf GM.
GoBullRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. There's something going on every day at OTR. On Monday, Bingo Tunes, Taco Tuesday, Karaoke on Wednesday, Salsa Night Thursday, and live music every weekend on the OTR stage with DJ Kenny K. On the Rocks, Jasper Ave, and 118th.
Sports radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Pause of Friday continues on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 and also live on Oilers Nation YouTube. If you're watching there, thanks so much. Hit the subscribe button while you're there. We keep growing every day. That's awesome. We need more subscribers. Got a goal to get to, so let's keep it up. Keep it up. We're going to get to Cam Tate momentarily. We got lots of text flying in at 833-401-1440. Also, if you want to bid, you can text there or call or even send us an email. If you want to go to the Iron Maiden concert tomorrow, we have 4 low seats with a parking pass. It's a pretty sweet deal. It's only at $500 right now from J-Dog. That's an absolute steal. Steal. All the money, of course, as we always do on the show, is going to charity, which is great. So it's time for another 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. For those maybe listening for the first time, Cam has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair and has difficulty talking clearly sometimes. And he's been a reporter for a long time in print. He's always wanted to do radio. So now with the wonders of technology, we're allowed to give Cam his bi-weekly 2-minute warning.
Eddie here for the September 29th edition of 2-Minute Warning with Cam Tate. Today's effort, Cam wants to hear from you. One more time now, Cam wants to hear from you. Here we go. On the last Friday of September and the smorgasbord of sports this weekend, starting tonight, is absolutely fantastic. Doesn't get any better. The Toronto Blue Jays and pending, keyword, there, grandpa, pending, wildcard clinch, Edmonton Oil Kings. With a big home 2-game set tonight at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 4 p.m., Lethbridge Hurricanes blowing into Rogers Place. Oilers in Calgary against the Flames. A chance for some players to show their stuff to make the team. And, of course, NFL this weekend. Just ask my buddy Connor Halley. Oh, yes. But here's something we need to always remember. Players in the NFL, NHL, major leagues, major junior hockey, university sports would not no way know how no can do if they weren't a part of. Hang on, Grandpa, to your pacemaker. Here it comes. Minor sports. Say it with me one time, minor sports. And there are wonderful, wonderful, countless stories in minor sports. I want to share them. I want to celebrate them, just like a championship. I want to illustrate the efforts of all those involved in minor sports. Because, damn it, I know they are out there. But I need help. Your help. If you know of a player, a coach, a manager, a bus driver, a parent, a fan, a rink manager, or again, anyone else who is a true champion. The 2-minute warning, we would love to hear from you. So minorsports1440@gmail.com. Say it again with me, minorsports1440@gmail.com. Send me the stuff and we'll share your story because minor sports is so important, so very important. Let's honor the people who make it happen because we never know who can be inspired. One more time for the road. minorsports1440@gmail.com. I'm Fast Eddie, the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Fast Eddie. So that's voice box, and those are Cam's words, and he's using Fast Eddie to voice him. So there you go. I like that. There's lots of people in the minor hockey and minor soccer and minor basketball and minor every sport who make a huge impact in the community. So you know what? Good for Cam. He likes to write about him. No, give him some accolades. And I know that most people don't do it for that, but you might surprise them by all of a sudden they get a call and Tater wants to write an article about him. So that's great. Check it out. We have lots and lots of texts on a positive Friday today. You know what? A few of you Really emotional text. I like it. So what our show, you know what? I'm a big believer that sports fans love sports. You can get passionate, get fired up, different opinions on players. It's great. But I also try to have a human element to our show. I think it's important. I think it resonates with a lot of people. And you know what? Got a lot of real heartfelt texts I want to read here. Hey, Greg's, great advice. One reason we're lucky to have you back in the air. I lost my dad 9 years ago, and I use his tools to fix things around the house. Kind of makes me think my dad is still helping me and makes me feel close to him. I was lucky to have a great dad. Comes from Jason D. Hey, Greg's. Thanks. It's always a good reminder on what matters. Haven't spent as much time with my kids lately, figuring that I need to work more. Well, priorities need to change. Thanks for the reminder from Doug. Well, Doug, you know what? I've said this. You know, growing up, we were probably middle class to lower class. I didn't care. My dad and my mom, well, my dad specifically, was at a lot of events. And you know what? I couldn't remember, well, other than when he bought a new truck. I do remember that. But I'm not sure I can remember other material things. But man, I have a vast memory of moments with my dad and my mom. Just, you know, wrestling, being at the farm, doing different things, you know, singing to Elvis Presley in the truck on the way home after a game. Those are the things that ultimately at the end of the day, when you're on your, you know what, or maybe you're sitting there and your father's on his deathbed and you're remembering, you're not going to remember that now, you know, maybe you might remember the first bike he bought you. That's a pretty big moment, but you're not really going to remember the shoes he got you in grade 7, but you're going to remember the time he spent with you. That's just a fact. So time will always trump it. No doubt in my mind. Few more to get to. Hey, Greg's on a positive Friday, talking about fatherhood. Just shout out for Chris Snow's kids. Can imagine what a difficult time they're going through. That one comes from Danny Boy. Well said, Danny Boy. It's true. For Chris, his wife Kelsey, for those who don't know, of course, was assistant general manager for the Calgary Flames, been battling ALS and very public about it, which I think takes a lot of courage. For Chris and the Flames organization, you know, really gave him a purpose to want to keep living and keep doing things. And, you know, his wife, Kelsey, who's a great writer, I think really helped put a spotlight on just what it's like having a loved one with ALS. And you just slowly see them deteriorate. It's difficult. But you know what? It can't all be roses and lollipops. Sometimes, you know, we need to have a little bit of pain in our life. Ask sports fans. No one wins every year. And I'll tell for Oiler fans who stuck through the decade of darkness, if the Oilers do ever hoist the cup in the next few years, and I think they have a legit chance to do it, there'll be a lot of fans that are just like, oh my God, I stuck through it. I managed to come out the other side. I remained a fan, and now I get to enjoy it. Makes it a little bit worthwhile. Now, there's no guarantee, but a lot of times as a sports fan, you like to ride the wave of emotion up and down. And you just hope that there's a few more ups than downs, because sometimes there's a lot of downs. A lot of downs. Hey, Jason, thanks for your words. You're very brave to express yourself these days, which is rare. I lost my dad at 17. I miss him terribly. I'm 51 now. I tell my 23-year-old son daily I love him just in case. Dudes need to own their emotions. We are all better for it. From Mark, the keeper. You're bang on, man. And you know what's great about it? Because unfortunately for men, for many generations, they were told, "Ooh, you're strong. You can't express your emotions." Well, thinking about it now, it's really ridiculous. Right? It's ridiculous. You're like, oh, you got to be tough. You didn't want to go to war? Well, suck it up. Got to go sacrifice yourself. Like there are lots of things that when you look at, right? It's always kind of interesting. Like there was no choice. Well, unless you were going to, run, you had to sign up. Now, if you were a woman, you didn't have to, right? That was what went with being a man at that point. It's tough. It's difficult. It's brutal. And then you couldn't talk about your emotions. Well, of course you had a lot of guys that were unfortunately committing suicide. And nowadays, and this is, I know it's a sports show, but there's some stats that I think our audience, which I know we have lots of women, I love them listening. They might have sons or brothers or, probably fathers, husbands. Did you know right now there is a little bit of an epidemic going on amongst men, specifically young ones, and even older men, but boys 15 to 20 are 5 times more likely than girls to commit suicide. Boys 20 to 25 are 6 times more likely than girls. And there's lots of reasons. Dad deprivation is one of them, according to the book, The Boy Crisis, which on a Positive Friday, if there was one book you were going to read this year, that's the book I highly recommend reading. I guarantee you it will change your perspective on things. If you're a father, you're a mother, it doesn't matter. If you're a sister, you're a brother, it doesn't matter. That book will open your eyes to a lot of different things, and it's great. It's very educational. And these are topics that men, unfortunately, you know what? It even talks about in the book. And you think about it, and as I was reading the book, I was like, God, this is so true, because you think about it, like, I love guy time with my buddies. How many of you, it's like your buddies, you get a group text, hey, you guys want to meet for beer? You're watching the game, whatever you do. You're going golfing. It's in a group. You love it. But then it talks about how you spend that time together and it's great, but a lot of times you never actually talk about anything. And so they would have these meetings, guys get together, they go for wings, and then they made part of their group was the final 20 minutes was talk about your bleep. Now it's difficult, but somebody had to open up, because you never know if one of your buddies is really struggling at work. Maybe they're stressed out about something and they have no one to talk to. And lots of times, the minute you get it off your chest, you feel better. You're just like, okay, got off my chest. You know what? Because sometimes you feel like a disappointment, feel like a loser, you feel like you're letting people down. It's not the case. But men still aren't great at talking about it. So if there's one thing you want to start with your buddies, when you guys get together, try it. It's going to be hard, because who's going to want to be the first one to do it? But you implement the talk about your bleep. And that's where you got to show some vulnerability. And you don't judge. And you sure as heck don't take that out of the circle of trust. That's very key. But the book talked about how, for lots of men, just expressing that fear of, you know what? There's a lot going on sometimes if you're the only breadwinner, right? There's a lot of stress. You feel like, man, we got to do everything. So on Positive Friday, think about that if you can. When we come back after a Connor Halley Sports 1440 update, Lorianne Munzer will join us. Jason Smith, Fox Sports debuts here on Sports 1440 all day, starting on Sunday. And man, they got an unbelievable lineup. Now, Jason Smith, a pretty big hockey fan too. It's a great, he'll be on the weeknights from 9 until midnight for you to listen to. He'll join us. We got Wanye Gretz coming up, Speck, Al Mitchell, Dan Rosen. Also hear from Leon Draisaitl today on the show. It's a busy edition. And we're currently at $500. We have a loge table, that's 4 seats, to the Iron Maiden concert with a parking pass tomorrow night. It's a pretty sweet deal. It's only 500 bones. It's all going to Gregor's Grad. So thanks to J-Dog with the first bid. You want in? You want to top it? You can text us 833-401-1440. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by BIE Engineering, specializing in all your residential, commercial, and industrial structural engineering needs. Go to BIEENG.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. The Oilers in action as the preseason continues. They're down in Calgary taking on the Flames. Puck drop 7 o'clock. 7 other games on the schedule, including the Leafs, Habs, Jets, Sens, and Bruins, Flyers. The Ottawa Senators have appointed Steve Staios as their new president of hockey operations. Staios joined the Sens after resigning from his post with the Edmonton Oilers as special advisor of hockey operations. And the Minnesota Wild announced that the team assigned forward Matt Zuccarelli to a 2-year, $8.25 million contract extension. Jays in action tonight, kicking off their final series of the regular season with the Rays in for 5. Toronto currently sitting 2 games up on the Mariners in the wild card race and 1 game up on the Astros. Elsewhere around the majors, the Guardians are in Detroit. Orioles hosting those Red Sox. Padres take on the White Sox. Brewers host the Cubs. Twins take on the Rockies. Angels welcome the Athletics to town. The Astros head to Arizona to take on the Diamondbacks. And the Mariners hosting the Rangers. The Oil Kings in action tonight down at Rogers Place with Lethbridge in town. That one gets going at 7. Those teams meeting again on Sunday at 4 o'clock. Doubleheader in the CFL. The Argos heading to Winnipeg at 6. Then at 8:30, BC hosts the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Down at Footfield, the Golden Bears in action, taking on the University of Regina. That's a 7 o'clock start. CJFL over the weekend, the Wildcats host the Calgary Colts out in Sherwood Park on Saturday. That's a 7 o'clock start. Then on Sunday, the Huskies in Winnipeg taking on the Rifles. Down gets going at 11 a.m. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Lorianne Munzer in studio, as well as Jason Smith of Fox Sports Radio. I'm Connor Halley, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Are you looking for an affordable business, group, or team outing this season? Why not catch the excitement of a game with 5-time Alberta Junior Hockey League champions, the Spruce Grove Saints? With extremely affordable group and suite packages available, and some of the lowest food and drink prices around, Saints games are the perfect night for your next group event. Get your group in on the action. For more information, visit sprucegrovesaints.ca.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game bottom of the ninth with the full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high. It's far. It is gone. Walk-off home run.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit Edmonton Kubota.
Mr. Rooter hits the lip. I tell the guy, it's leaking because you have a hole-in-one.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you have a better chance of hitting the green with a crescent wrench, you bum.
Oh, boy. It's my rival, Mr. Plunger.
You swing a club like you plumb. Lousy.
Lousy, eh? Hey, Mr. Plunger, there's a clog down there that even you could fix.
Now we're brought to you by Cantor. We've continued developing tools and are excited to announce our newest design, battery-powered nut runners. 4 models from 500 to 3,000 foot-pounds with more on the way. Learn more at cantork.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Pause of Friday, the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 and live on Oilers Nation YouTube. How you doing? Hope you got big plans for the weekend. Hopefully it warms up a little bit. A little rainy out there right now. At least it was when I came in. It's raining decently well. So it's always good to have a little bit of a fall rain. It's no doubt, but the weekend's coming. So let's hope it clears up, get outside, do a lot of stuff. Gregor Show, as always, is presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province. And tonight, $30 million up for grabs in Lotto Max. So good luck. Hopefully you have a winner. That would be, needless to say, I think it would be make your day a little bit nicer. If all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got 30 mil. That's a pretty good thing. Pretty good thing. We are joined now in studio. She is the Monday co-host with Kevin Carius on Sports 1440 and joins us every Friday at 3:00. Lori Ann Munzer, two-time Olympic gold medalist. And Lori, today I kind of want to talk about the different ranges of sports athletes because I find it interesting right now. You have the NHL players who are in preseason. And, veterans are like, I just want to get through it unscathed. Lots of them know they're on the team. There's obviously a few bubble players across the league, but a lot of veterans know where they're at. So you have that stage. But then you have the MLB, and they're in a fight for their life, a lot of those teams, to make the playoffs and get in. And so I know, in your sport, not every race it wasn't as meaningful, right? It's just they all mattered, but some matter more. If that's fair. How do you approach that when you're like the warm up to the start of the season? Because you can't win a championship. You can't win an Olympic gold medal at the start of the year. You can kind of build for it. But how did you get through that when it was, I don't know, like the start of a season? Yeah, there's excitement, but it's not the same.
It is the same because every race, every event is a championship race, whether it's a local race, a national race, an international race, a Grand Prix, a World Cup, World Championship, Pan Am, Commonwealth Game, or Olympic. It's all the same.
In racing.
Yeah.
But when you approach you would approach I don't know, the Canmore Classic. I don't think there is a Canmore Classic.
Yeah.
The same as you did an Olympic race.
Absolutely. Because by the time when you get to the Olympics, you know exactly what it is that you're doing, and it is so automatic. It's like we were talking last week about putting your left shoe in and your right foot in. I've been thinking about you every day. I put my left foot in and I put my right foot in because it becomes a habit. And it's just, that's the way you do it. Because if you take your foot off the gas, you just give away the race.
But so individual sports obviously different because if you look at hockey, like the pace of the game isn't close to now as what it is in the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. The guys that Connor McDavid, he plays fast, but he's not playing supersonic fast, right? Sure. So and I know you deal with a lot of team, you work with a lot of team athletes. How do you, I know I hear him say, hey, if you're not focused, you're going to get injured. I totally believe that. But at the same time, you also know I don't need to, go 100% in a preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how do you find what's the right level to go?
Well, you have to decide what your level is. What does 100% mean if you're going for broke all the time? But then there's the pace too, because the other thing you want to do is you want to find that sweet spot where you expend just enough energy. So you've got the physical output, but that you also have the mental game of it as well. And the mental stuff goes on before you get on the ice, before you get on the field, before you get on the velodrome, whatever your playing field is. And it's done through trial and error, and there's a lot of error. And that's the best part, is because in the training leading up to it, that's what the practices are for. Because if it's practice, so that you can execute it 100%. And then it becomes automatic so that you end up using your peripheral. Like you've got your laser focus, but you've also got the peripheral around you that is going on at the same time. And especially in a team sport, you have to have that, but you also have to know where you are. You also have to know where you're going before you get there. So there's a number of components, but you always have to have your foot on the gas, but you also don't want to go too hard. And that's where the practice is. And you're going to do it in game time, where you just blow the tank and you're done. So, okay, come off the field or come off the ice and you reset and then you go again.
Lorianne Munzer joins us. It must be a learned trait to not beat yourself up on days when you don't have it. Because you can do everything right. You can train all you want. And some days you don't have it. It's just a fact, right? Like you don't, maybe diet was off. Who knows? Or some days it's just like, I don't know why.
Yep.
But I'm not there. Right.
Yep.
How did you learn to let that go and not beat yourself up and say, God, I got to train harder now to make up for it? Because once it's gone, you can't make up for it. It's impossible.
You can't. Trial and error a lot of time. And most of the time that it went was when I wasn't thinking. But then it was learning that, okay, some days are going to be really crap. They really are. And some days are going to be, you're just on fire. And then there's going to be the days in between. And it's just, okay, can you break it down into where am I? What do I want to do? And then go out and do it. But you also have to come back and you got to reflect on it going, okay, how did things go? Where could I improve? What worked? What didn't work? What didn't I see? What could and where could I improve? And most athletes that I see, they get going in the game. They're mindlessly going through their training. They're not thinking about what they're doing or what they're wanting to do or improve upon. And then they wonder why stuff goes sideways. And you got to stop, pause, think, review, rethink, and rewrite what your program is, what you're going to do. And it's like one event at a time.
When you work with the team sport athletes, because a lot of the success is out of their control. An individual sport, the success is yours. Now, obviously, I know you have a team that helps you, but ultimately, you can control your results way more than you can in a team sport. When you deal with team athletes compared to individual ones, is that very noticeable that you see in how they're able? Like some people would be like, yeah, you know what? Like I did my best, but other teammate here or whatever, like you score a hat trick, but your goalie lets in 2 goals from the blue line. What can you do? Right? How do you deal with them different in that way where they're not getting down on a teammate? Because that's got to be the hardest thing, right? Getting down on yourself is easy. You look in the mirror and say, hey, pull your socks up, right? So, and you can bounce back from that. Sometimes it's harder if you do that to a teammate.
Absolutely. And you're going to see right off the bat who works great together, who works good together. And we got to like rejimmy the list here. But it's just the one thing I always ask of any athlete, sport athlete, business athlete is, did you give it your best? Did you do everything you could possibly do? And if the answer is yes, you can't ask for anything more. And then you go back to, okay, well, what would you do different if you could do it again? Because you are going to get the opportunity to do it different again. Like when I was at Worlds and things didn't come together, I had a photograph where I lost a race, 1/1000th of a second. Like it came down to a photo finish.
Yeah.
And I went, I'm going to have another opportunity. And we're always given opportunities. So then I asked the athletes, if you could do it again, what would you do different? And then they start to think about it. And it's connecting and communicating with your line. And some combinations are unstoppable. You know that. We all know that. And other ones are just like, And if you're on a crap line, you got to bring your A game up and you need to bring everybody else up. So what can you also do so that, you're inspiring, you're motivating, you're playing along with your other teammates to elevate not only your game, but their game as well. And that's when I see stuff click together.
Lorianne Munzer joins us. Got a few texts to get to about this topic. And it's interesting, Laurie, how you mentioned you always have to be on, but most people, are they mentally tough to always be on?
Nope. Nope. But it's something you can learn. And that's the best part. I didn't know anything about mental training when I started cycling. I just got on my bike and I just gassed it.
Yeah,
I
it was
gave it
all
everything I
physical.
had. Being a sprinter, that only lasts for about 30 seconds. 40, 45 if you've got it. But then you still got the rest of the race to do and you've just tanked. So what do? You keep repeating the same thing or you start figuring out a different way. But then there's also the mindset part because like NHL, NFL, MLB, everybody is pretty much similar physical level. So what's the difference? It's the mindset. And 95% of what you do in athletics at the elite level is mindset. It's 5% physical, 95% mindset. And that difference of what are you doing to prepare for your game? What are you doing to prepare for your training sessions? But then there's the other component that most people don't think about is what are you doing off the game field? What's going on? Like, home environment, relationships, friendships. Maybe you got to work part-time or full-time, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're just kicking back. So you got to look at the whole picture of it and go, there's a little bit more to this than I thought.
So what was the biggest challenge when you started learning about mental focus?
Oh, biggest challenge. Making the time to sit, think about my sport, think about my effort, the heats, the events, but then also afterwards and outside of my sport, where could I also bring that aspect? And one of the coolest things is it comes down to one word, intention. What's your intention for what you're going to do next? Like when I went to work, the joke was I went to work to rest. I was a legal secretary. I worked for 100 lawyers. It was awesome. I got to sit while I went to work because I didn't want to be out shopping, walking around a lot, right? So I could conserve my energy. I could blast the heck out of my legs in the gym before work from 5:30 till 7:30, be at my desk at 8 o'clock. And then you rest, you recover. And then I go jump on my bike in the afternoon. That was perfect. But where do you want to go with this? Like, how do you want to spend your time? Who do you want to spend your time with? Do you have events, functions that you have to do?
I like the word intention because I think for a lot of people, they just a simple thing like, you know what, I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to get in shape. So what's my intention long-term? Because a lot of people start and then it putters out really quickly.
It does.
Right? It falls away really. And now maybe because they're like, well, I can still survive. I can live, I could be 10 pounds overweight and whatever. But you've let yourself down a bit and you don't like it because there's a reason why you wanted to do it in the first place, whatever the person's reason is. So we'll have to focus more on intention because that's an interesting word on the intent and how you make sure that you stay on the track of intention.
Yeah. The other word that I think is really, really important is a professional is always at their best, regardless of what's going on. And there's days when it's just going to go to heck in a handbag and it's just not going to come together.
Yeah.
Other days it's going to be like beautiful, magical almost. And it's just, are you showing up in every area and doing your best, becoming your best? Literally, can you be 1% better than you were yesterday in every area? Because you know what, at some point, it's going to come together. And that's the coolest part. It will come together.
I love it. Lori-Ann, always great to have you on the show. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.
Have a good positive Friday.
Thanks, you too. Bye, everybody.
Lori-Ann Munzer. Of course, you can catch her every Monday on the Kevin Carey Show. Quick break. When we come back, Jason Smith, big announcement, baby. It's starting on Sunday, right here on Sports 1440 as we move to all sports all the time on weekends and 21 hours a day on the weekdays. I'll tell you. And one of the hosts of the new format will join us next.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of sausage or chicken McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small premium roast coffee for $5 plus tax. Available before 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971. Saving you more.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is sounding the call. Don't struggle through winter with a furnace you can't trust. For maintenance before winter strikes,
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For furnace tune-ups and repairs to give peace of mind.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Or to scrap your old furnace for a brand new high-efficiency one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your new furnace, it's gotta be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Thinking about solar power? Action Electrical wants to eliminate your entire home or business power bill and keep more cash in your pocket. With effective paybacks in 5 to 9 years, give solar a chance with Action and put your lazy roof to work. Alberta is the second highest province for the amount of full sunlight hours, and with system life exceeding 25 years, solar power is like a McDavid draft pick. Still have questions about solar power? Contact the professionals at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
Sports 1440 is thrilled to announce that this Sunday, Fox Sports makes its debut with incredible NFL coverage. Fox will also provide more sports overnights and every weekend with an incredible lineup of talent. Only on Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Little extra brass bonanza for you on a positive Friday. Welcome back to Sports 1440. Jason Gregor alongside Connor Halley. The Gregor Show, as always, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca. And it is time for our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to their next destination. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca. And our big guest day, big announcement, because starting Sunday here on Sports 1440, we will have Fox Sports Radio wall-to-wall on the weekends and from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. on the weekdays. And our next guest, you will be able to hear him weeknights, 9 till midnight. Jason Smith joins us. Jason, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, my man. I've listened to you for a long time in the night show. How you doing?
Good. You were playing my song, man. You gave me some brass bonanza. Go well.
Dude, I know. You've had it on there. I love it. Yeah, that's my Positive Friday song for, I know 15 years. I was a Whaler fan as a kid, so it's great. We spiced it up. When the orders were terrible, I was like, God, everybody's so negative. So we came up with Positive Friday just because the orders were a decade of darkness, so we needed something to kind of shed some light on things.
You want a great story about Brass Bonanza? Okay, here's a great story. I used to get in so much trouble. Before I was a sports talk radio host, I worked in production at ESPN.
Yeah.
So I was a production assistant, and, your job is to watch games and log and edit highlights and all this stuff. And the Whalers, of course, were huge because Bristol, Connecticut, the closest professional sports team is Hartford, right? So the Whalers are there. And, Brass Bonanza is their song. And I figured out a way to be able to play it on a phone with the keys. So we had a PA system at work, and every time the Whalers would score a goal, someone would say, Jason, Whalers scored. I'd pick up the phone, so it would go over to both buildings, pound 987222233336669, and I could play it all the way through, and I played Brass Bonanza on the phone. I was finally in somebody's office going, "Can you please stop doing that at night? I want you to stop doing that at night. That's not just something to play around on. That's for announcements to go over to everybody." I said, "Okay, that's fine," but I still did the pound 987.
I love it.
I still remember all these years later.
And I was telling our list, because a lot of people think Fox Sports and obviously NFL and NBA or MLB are good, but I'm like, yeah, but Smith's a huge hockey fan. So you know what? I've listened to your show at night. You like diving into the hockey conversation. And in Edmonton, it'd be easy at times to bring up McDavid and Draisaitl because right now there's no more exciting players in the league than those two.
Well, yeah, look, and I want to know you're okay with me because I follow the Whalers to Carolina.
Yes.
And I don't know how much that there's still that left over from a few years ago because we kind of had a big series against each other.
Well, you know what? The Oilers fans, they still remember. Yeah, they still remember. I think that they would love an opportunity for a rematch. Right in the Cup final, I'm sure. I think they would take if Oilers fans right now. I don't think they'd care who they'd meet in the East as long as they could get to a Cup final.
Oh no, makes no difference. I don't care. Look, as a Jets fan, I don't care who we play. We get to the Super Bowl. I don't get. But of course, it's not happening now because I think I'm the quarterback on Sunday. So it's everything is absolutely going to be whatever happens. Get me there. It's all good.
Well, and see that's the thing. It's good. So people will know they listen tonight. It's a Jets fan. So there's going to be a lot of painful nights at times as a Jets fan right now. Like, what do you think would be the best plan for their quarterback situation the rest of this season?
To go back in time and to get somebody else to back up Aaron Rodgers, but that's not going to happen. So instead, now look, they should have figured this out in the spring, right? And said, okay, here's Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old. Zach Wilson's terrible. He stinks. We don't want him to play anymore. Let's get a backup. No, they didn't do that. But right now, I'm telling you, the Jets know that they have one bullet to fire on this. And they know quarterbacks are going to be available. They just have to wait closer to the deadline because no one's punting on their seasons right now. No one's trading their backups and no one's trading their starters. We're 3 weeks into the season. But you get to the deadline and the Vikings are 1-5. Kirk Cousins easily can go. Ryan Tannehill easily can go if the Titans stink. Justin Fields, the Bears might want to punt on him by the time you get to the middle of the season because there's a lot of good quarterbacks available in the draft. There's going to be 5 or 6 guys going in the first round, maybe 7. And so, hey, we'll get our next quarterback here. We'll tank a little bit by trading our starting quarterback, and the Jets could clearly get one of those guys. So, yes, they're not going to go down with Zach Wilson as their quarterback, but it's going to take a little bit before they get to close to get another guy. Right around the trade deadline, you see who really stinks, who's done for this year, and that's when you'll see the contenders emerge.
Jason Smith from Fox Sports, of course, host of the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon, joins us. And Jason, it's interesting you mentioned that, like Kirk Cousins' name's out there. Like, is Aaron Rodgers, what do you think the chances are Aaron Rodgers is the starting quarterback in New York next year?
Oh, as long as he's okay, 100%. They're paying him a lot of money, man. Okay. I mean, they're paying him more than you guys are paying McDavid. Okay, yeah. So I mean, that's a lot of money to say, hey, we'll see you later. No, he absolutely is the guy next year. Look, he picked New York because he wanted the brand of New York, right? If the Giants had an opening, he'd have gone to the Giants. But he wanted New York because he sees how popular he is, and he wants to be able to have to grow his brand, kind of like how LeBron chose the Lakers. He wanted the Lakers brand to get to the end of his career and life after basketball. Same thing for Aaron Rodgers. He wants the brand of New York to finish his career and get to life after football. So yeah, no, he's absolutely coming back next year.
I meant more so do you think he'll actually be the starter as far as health wise goes? Like, I knew they're paying him a lot. So if they're going to bring in someone else like a Kirk Cousins, that would just be for this year. Or would they be better off to bring in a Justin Fields thinking, hey, what if Justin Fields spends a year learning from Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, if they brought in a guy like Fields, he would probably start and then sit. It would be one of those situations. Like Cousins for this year because then his contract is up. But like Rodgers is absolutely coming back. They gave him a bionic Achilles. I mean, my God, they had the goat of all doctors, Dr. Ella Trosh, put his new leg together. So it's like, hey, this is going to work next year. Like, he's thinking he can come back at the end of the season for the playoffs. I'm like, dude, you think we're going to the playoffs with Zach? Well, okay, that's fine. No, it's good to have ambition. Ambition is good. So yeah, no, I have no doubt he'll be ready to go for next year.
Jay, I've listened to your show lots. You know what? You guys bring a lot of fire, which I think is going to be great for our audience. And, you know, it's October's a great time to be a sports radio host, man. There's so much going on. It's like you got a 3-hour show. You're like, damn, I didn't even get to like 6 of the topics I wanted to get to just because there's so much happening. Give me your thoughts on the big NBA trade. And what do you think this means for the Bucks? Like, are they the favorite now in the East?
Oh, they have to be. You know, look, I love the Knicks and I like what they did in the offseason, but the Bucks, they got the guy they absolutely had to get because they needed somebody who could take care of winning time, right? Because they're a great regular season team, but you saw that they flame out in the playoffs, right? And their last possession that got them knocked out by the Heat was Giannis falls down. He passes to Middleton, who doesn't get rid of the ball until after the buzzer has hit, and Grayson Allen puts up a crazy-ass shot that doesn't go. So I think at that point, the Bucks realized, all right, we need somebody else who can make a shot. And that's why they got Damian Lillard, because he's going to make those big shots. He's going to have the big game. He doesn't have to carry the team. That's some kind of big three with Giannis and Lillard and Middleton. And you can fill in, you can get the depth guys to come in and fill in what they need because they traded a lot to get Damian Lillard. But the guy's a bleeping star, man. I mean, you're going to see him hitting shots from the logo, and it's phenomenal. I mean, they're going to really roll through everybody next year. And right now, if it's not the Bucks in the finals, there's something wrong.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know, the Bucks, and then you look at Denver though. Like, look how good they were last year, and I could make an argument they'll be better this year.
Yeah, Denver's terrific. You know, the one thing about Denver though that you think is that they're going to get a bit of a bounce because they had everything go right last year. They had nobody got hurt. Everybody that was coming back was able to slot in. They had a very fortunate draw. Look at the teams they played to get there. They played a lot of teams that nobody thought could play at that level. They got the Lakers when the Lakers were old and exhausted. So it was a pretty fortunate draw for them to get to the finals. Not that they're not great. They're a great team, and Jokic is a phenomenal player. But you kind of had everything go right last year. There's going to be a little bit more adversity this year, whether it's the path in the playoffs or health-wise or something. So, Denver's is one of those teams you expect to get out of the West, and certainly they're the favorite because of winning it last year. But, the math and karma, and it comes find a way to get even with you in the next year. So you got to see how things go for them.
Jason, outside of the Jets and the Hurricanes, who are you a New York fan when it comes to NBA and MLB, or do you got teams in other markets? Like, who do you root for there?
Oh, I wish I could root for other teams, but no, I could have chosen the Giants and the Yankees, and I'd have had a great sports life. But no, instead I picked the Mets and the Jets, and now it's every year is just, oh my goodness, why am I a sports fan? Right? Like every year, these two teams are like, you guys are killing me. So it's the New York Mets, Jets, Knicks, obviously, in basketball, because nobody's a Nets fan. I mean, I like to think that nobody's a Nets fan. It doesn't happen that way. So and Carolina's my team, because I would say followed them from Hartford. Coming to Carolina. And it's weird because when people say, oh, but they left, your team left, I go, yeah, but I already moved to California when that happened. So it's easier for me to follow them from Hartford to Carolina. Like if I was still in Hartford when they moved, I could see or say, look, I can't root for this team. I got to pick a new team. But because I was already gone, I didn't have that disconnect. I was able to stay with them when they moved. And I'm glad they did because we're really good. We just got to find a way to get over the hump. And every year we're like, okay, every year's a Stanley Cup or bust year. And every year we fall short. Yeah, we hit somebody who's really hot in the playoffs or a goalie who's really hot. And I go, okay, maybe next year's the year. But we're absolutely loaded every single year, Carolina.
Carolina is very deep. Jason Smith joins us from Fox Sports Radio. I still think, and I've said it for years, they miss the dominant offensive game breaker. And that's why I think Patrick Kane is the guy they should go get. That's the guy. That's what they need. He's a stone cold killer.
Oh, get that out in the universe. Put that karma out there. Get those winds blowing from Edmonton all the way down and make that happen. Yeah, look, they thought Svechnikov was going to be that guy, and he's still really good, but he's hurt a lot, and he's tough getting in and out of the lineup. Aho is really, really good, but he's not quite that over the top. Hey, when the puck needs to go on the net, I'm going to be able to do it. Yeah, if they had that guy, it'd be perfect. It's like the Jets. They have everything but a quarterback. Yeah, they have everything but a superstar. If they had a star player, hey, things would be better. But look, it's difficult. I mean, they're building the team the way they did. It's fantastic. It's got to hope that they can find a way to get past the second round of the playoffs when they have 110 points every year.
And Jay, quickly for our listeners who are going to be tuning into you, starting at, of course, 9:00 here Edmonton time on week, what can they expect in your show? What do they have to look forward to every night with you and Mr. Harmon?
Well, we like to have a lot of fun. We're going to do a lot of the offbeat stuff. We're going to play the hits as well. Anytime something big is going on, we're going to give it to you. We're reacting to the night. If something big happens, you get it from us. You get great coverage on it. And the show's a little different. And there's some weird stuff that happens basically every night. And it's one of those where I go in the night with a plan and something happens. And it's kind of a fun little mystery how things unravel. So I promise you, you listen, you're gonna find yourself entertained. You're gonna love the hot takes when we trot them out a bit, and it's a fun time.
We're looking forward to it, man. Thanks so much, and we can't wait till Sunday, and then of course all weeknights with yourself, Jason Smith, the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it, my man.
You got it. Maybe we'll see you in the Stanley Cup Final this year.
Hey, Oiler fans, dare to dream. That'd be unreal.
Oh, maybe I'll come back to Edmonton. I visited Edmonton about 20 years ago doing a story for ESPN.
Yeah,
had a ton of fun there.
Buddy, we have a brand new studio here for you. You can do your show right here. It'd be unreal. Right in the mall, my man. Lots of food, lots of good places.
So just like the Whalers, we were in the mall. Like go from one mall to another mall.
You'll feel comfortable, man. Feel comfortable. It's unreal. You can go in the water park. Oh, buddy, this would be you wouldn't want to leave.
Oh, hey, how long is this commercial break? 6 minutes. All right, I'm going to Nordstrom Rack, and then I'm going to be right back because I know what I want to get, and I'll be right back in to do the show, I promise.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. That is,
you got to take it easy, guys.
Jason Smith, and I've listened to Smith Show at night. Like, he's been doing that show, got to be at least 15 years at night. And it is entertaining. They have a lot of fun. And he's a huge hockey guy, which is key, because I know there's Gregor's not going to be hot. Oh, trust me, Smith Show, they talk a lot of hockey stuff. And the truth is, the Oilers are on what? Was it 18 to 24 national broadcasts in the United States this year? Trust me, they'll be seeing lots of the Oilers. 3:38, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. We are live in the E-Well studio, sponsored by your local electrical distributor. Keep listening for an electrifying show that is going to light up your day. ewell.ca. We will come back. Dawn is in. Actually, Mike was in at 600. Now Dawn's up to 650. Still a steal of a deal, man. We got 4 tickets, low seats, to tomorrow night's Iron Maiden concert and a parking pass. So you're gonna be great close. Then the loge, little VIP action. It's a killer show, man. If that's your genre of music, they put on a killer show. So, and it's all helping out Gregor's Grad. So if you want in, you can text in or call. It's the same number, 833-401-1440. When we return on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You'll absolutely love the new and app-approved Booster Juice app. Download it today and start earning berry points for app-amazing rewards. Apply your points for all of your Booster Juice favorites for free. From booster balls to smoothies, snacks, and combo deals. Even digital gift cards. Plus, receive personalized offers that appeal directly to you. The new and app-approved Booster Juice app. More than just online ordering. Download it today. Details at boosterjuice.com.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 7th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes, born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. Can you believe that summer is over and fall is here? With that in mind, we are offering free furnace upgrades from Daikin, should you be looking to get a new furnace. This means getting a better model of furnace that provides you greater comfort at a lower price. Plus, Daikin has the best warranty in the business. There's never a better time to get a new Daikin furnace from Weiss Johnson. We know how important a good furnace is in Edmonton, so don't procrastinate as this is a limited time offer. Visit wjheats.com today.
Stingray All Good Vibes is your destination on Amazon Prime Video for the best music bundle. Stream thousands of concerts from Quello Concerts. Sing the most popular hits with Stingray Karaoke. Relax with Stingray Naturescape. And enjoy jazz and classical concerts. 5 services for the price of 1 on Stingray All Good Vibes with Prime Video channels. Go to primevideo.com/Stingray for your free trial. Prime subscription is required.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Roger Weird and his team at Weird, Pearson, Akel and Associates Private Wealth Management, helping business owners and professionals build, protect, and enjoy their wealth. Earn more now and call Roger and his team at 988-4119.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show. Gregor, Connor Halley with you. We're going to get to the oil report. We got some thoughts from Leon Draisaitl on a few different topics that we will get to momentarily. A few other texts. You can always text us at 833-401-1440 or you can call us. Same number, 833-401-1440. That's our Jiffy Lube inbox. Guys, what's the bid at? $650. It's at $650 for the Iron Maiden. It is a bid. It's not just, hey, we're not just giving them away today. This one's a bid for charity. If you want to go, it's 4 low seats. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Currently, Don E has them. Don space E, not Don E. He's not a member of a boy band. It's kind of how it goes. Hey, Jason, I'm curious your thoughts on the Oilers. Everybody seems to think they're going to win. I'm very skeptical because I don't think their defense is good enough. Tell me I'm wrong. From not positive Paul. Well, does that mean you're not positive that they're good? Well, I guess I look at a few things with the Oilers. So Is Calgary's defense better? 1 through 6? I don't think so. Is Vancouver's defense better 1 through 6? I don't see it. Seattle? No. LA? No. I'm kind of curious who's the third pair in LA this year. So, like, which defense in the West is clearly better? Now, there's Cale Makar and Taves in Colorado, so I'll give you that. If you want to say Colorado's better, I'm totally with you. Dallas, I can make an argument for Dallas as well. Fair. Vegas, yeah, probably. But then, if you go Vegas, well, who has better forwards? I think you'd say Edmonton. Edmonton has better forwards than Dallas. And even though there's McKinnon and Rantanen, if you put McKinnon and Rantanen, and then you say, okay, well, McDavid and Draisaitl are better than those two. Then you go down to Nugent Hopkins and Hyman and Kane. Does Colorado have 3 guys that are better than them? So I don't know if they're like, now Tampa was kind of freakish because they had a future Hall of Fame goalie, a future Hall of Fame defenseman, and 2, if not potentially 3, future Hall of Fame forwards. It's kind of rare to split it across the board. I think Edmonton is going to surprise people. I know it's been the topic of conversation for a long time. The Oilers have to reduce their goals against. No question asked. That's the number one. Anybody who tries to tell you, like, well, who's going to score goals? What are you talking about? Who's going to score? I honestly, Brandon Sutter's the 4th-line center. Great. I don't have any worries about the Oilers' offense unless they get some key injuries to their top-end guys. That's the only way, right? I don't see any other reason why I'd be like, oof, I'm concerned about Edmonton offensively. It's all going to come down to, are they consistent as a team? They showed last year in the final 20 games, 25 games, they can be pretty good defensively. They've done it at times. They haven't been able to do it consistently. And that's an element that I think it's fair to question it. And if you want to say, well, I need to see it to believe it, that's fine. See it to believe it. But I will say this. I think the Edmonton Oilers, keep in mind, Vegas in the regular season last year was 12th in goals against per game. They weren't dominant, right? They were 12th. So I look at the Oilers and say, can Edmonton, who was 20th last year, can they move up to 12? We're talking an improvement of 24 goals against over the course of the season. So that's 1 fewer goal every 3 games. Like, it's not a ridiculous amount, right? It's obviously one that, you know, they're going to have to be decent at, but it's not crazy, right? So let's get to Leon Draisaitl, because here's one thing. Leon Draisaitl talking about, you know, the game of cat and mouse when it comes to their power play. The Oilers obviously have the best power play the NHL's ever seen. Last year at 32%. Their last 4 years, it's 29%. 4 years, it's averaged 29%. That's pretty damn good, right? I don't think you can just sit there and say, oh, it's a one-hit wonder. No, they're really good. So ask Draisaitl just about the cat and mouse game and how other teams always try to take away something, but they keep finding new ways to bring in a new wrinkle.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's certain things that we're good at and that we don't want to change and continue to do, but there's certain things that you're always trying to adjust to, and you know, teams are obviously, they're well aware of what we're capable of, so we're going to get everyone's best at all times. So we're up to that challenge. We enjoy that challenge, and we also enjoy, you know, coming up with new things.
Did you notice a difference? Connor shot the puck more in the power play than he ever had. You guys are 1-2 in goals. Do you get open more now that he's more of a shooter, because teams have to respect that more than maybe they had in previous years?
Well, if he's shooting it more, then I'm not getting it as much. So
well, no, your shots. It's funny. Your shots actually, your whole unit actually was just shooting more.
Yeah, no, we got amazing players on our power play. I think everyone can shoot the puck. Everyone can pass. I think that's exactly what makes our power play so dangerous, right? So sometimes, you know, you need these shots to break teams down, and it's something that, we probably don't get enough credit for, is how hard we work at getting pucks back and create chances off of that. So sometimes you just need a shot to break them down. And I think we got the right pieces in place for that as well.
Power play's been so good for so long. Is it kind of a luxury that you have that, or is it so interwoven into who this team is that it's a necessity now? Like, could this team win with a middle of the pack power play?
I'm sure you can, but you need something on your team that you're really, really good at. Otherwise, you're not winning. Our power play is a weapon. It's not something that we want to change. We want to round the other parts of our game out, certainly, but the power play is definitely a weapon that we're proud of, that we work extremely hard at. And, in a game of hockey, there is power plays. When a team takes penalties, you're going to try and capitalize on it. So it's something that we're proud of and take pride in.
I love what he said there. You got to be great at something if you want to win. And the Oilers' power play is great. Now, you obviously got to be really good at some other things too. But the suggestion, while the Oilers, their power play is dominant. But I don't understand why people think that's a negative. That doesn't mean you can have two things happen at once. You can say their power play is dominant. It can remain dominant. It's not like, well, you know what? They're not going to win until their power play is average and they improve defensively. I'm like, what kind of crazy pills are you eating? That makes no sense to me. None. What are you talking about? Why can't their power play stay dominant and they just improve their defensive zone coverage? And so I shouldn't even say defensive zone coverage. I would say their defensive consistency, because I think that's their bigger issue, really, is the consistency, because they'll have tendencies to just kind of have lapses, to be honest. Right? You've seen it. You've watched it. Oilers are controlling the game, then boom. Like, look at Game 5 against Vegas. They were in complete control of that game. First penalty, okay, not a great penalty. Second penalty, definitely not good. And they give up 2 goals, and then they give up a third goal right from the blue line. You don't want that goal to go in. Right? And there was just game over. In a span of 1 minute and 30 seconds, it was game over. Right? Not great. But look at the Oilers in their last 32 games of the season from February 1st on. The Oilers were first in goals per game at 4.31. Next was Colorado at 3.74. And then in that time, in goals against, the Oilers were 14th at 2.97. So they were plus 1.34 goals per game. Now, they weren't top 10 in goals against. They were 14th. Now, so being better defensively than 20th, guess what? They were still number 1 in offense. So now let's pick another number if you want to go. Look at the Oilers over their final 20. No, that's too small. We'll go March 1st. See how many games that is. Okay, 21 games. Edmonton Oilers are now leading the NHL, scoring 4.43. So even more goals. Oh, now let's check. Where were they defensively? Oh, now they're suddenly 9th at 2.67 per game. Now they're 1.76 goals more per game. That's what they were winning their margin by, 1.76. So if anybody tells you, and I've seen, can you do both? Yes, you can do both. You can score lots and be good defensively. Honestly, the Oilers don't need to lead the league in goals against. They're not the LA Kings. That's not their forte. Their forte is scoring goals. But if they're top 10 in goals against and then they're number 1 in goals for, you're killing it. And that's why in those games, they had the best record in the NHL at 18-2-1. Right? So it's a long answer to your question of, I think the Oilers can be good enough defensive. They've shown it. They just have to show it for longer stretches of consistency. It's not that they can't do it. It's can they do it consistently? And I think they can. I think there will be an improvement there. Now, it's not just going to be a perfect you're riding the elevator to success and they're never going to have a dip and they're never going to have one night where suddenly they're giving up 6 and maybe their goalie's letting in a few softies and they've thrown a few pizzas or a few bad. Trust me, it's going to happen. I'll guarantee you that right now. I don't know when, but I'll guarantee you there'll be a few of those games this year. It's just how it goes. But overall, I think the Edmonton Oilers have a very realistic shot to hover in the top 12 goals against. And if they do, because I have no worry, I think they're a top 5 offensive team, probably a top 1 offensive team. I don't see any reason why you should be that concerned about the Oilers' overall play in the regular season. That's an interesting question. Hey, Greg's, Jeff Jackins has mentioned Gillis in pretty much every interview. Is he the future GM, and how would you feel? From Hontorio Momes. Ooh. Now, when was the last time Gillis, like, he hasn't been a GM since Vancouver, right? So Mike Gillis, he's now what, 60? Oh, geez, I don't even know how old he is. I think he's 65. I could be wrong on that. Cons, you can check it out. I think he was a 58, so I think he's 65.
65 in December.
Oh, okay. There you go. So he was an agent. I think he learned lots, in that realm, but he hasn't been a GM so when this season's over, it'll be a decade, right? Because he got let go at the end of the 2014 season for the Canucks. He wouldn't be at the top of my list. Could you have him on your staff? Sure. But he wouldn't be the guy that I would bring in to be the GM of the Edmonton Oilers next. If indeed Ken Holland's like, I'm out. And I honestly, if you asked me today what I think is more likely, Ken Holland re-signing or Ken Holland, taking on an advisory role, I'd probably say the advisory role. I think he wants to take a little time off, enjoy life. That's just me, though. Ken obviously isn't telling me, he's not giving me his playbook on what his career is going to end, but that would be my gut. And Mike Gillis, for me, wouldn't be on the top of my list as a guy to hire. At 10 years out of the game, it's not a retread that I would bring in. Me. Would you? Let me know. 833-401-1440. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports Center update brought to you by Roger Weir and his team at Weir, Pearson, Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management, helping business owners and professionals build, protect, and enjoy their wealth. Earn more now and call Roger and his team at 988-4119.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. The Oilers preseason continues with the team down in Calgary taking on the Flames. Puck drop 7 o'clock. 7 other games on the schedule, including the Leafs, Habs, Jets, Sens, and Bruins Flyers. The Ottawa Senators have appointed Steve Sales as their new president of hockey operations. Sales joins the Sens after resigning from his post as special advisors on the Oilers hockey operations staff. The Minnesota Wild announced that they have signed forward Matt Zuccarello to a 2-year extension worth $8.25 million. Also, Marcus Foligno to a 4-year extension worth $16 million. Blue Jays in action tonight, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays at 5 o'clock. They currently sit 2 games up on the Mariners in the wild card race and 1 game up on the Astros. Elsewhere, Tigers take on the Guardians, the Marlins in Pittsburgh. Padres travel to Chicago, taking on the White Sox. Royals host the Yankees, Twins in Colorado. Diamondbacks up against the Astros. Mariners host the Rangers. And the Dodgers taking on the Giants. Mets, Phillies postponed until tomorrow due to weather in the New York area. The Edmonton Oil Kings in action tonight down at Rogers Place, taking on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. That one gets going at 7 o'clock. These two teams meet again Sunday afternoon at 4. Doubleheader in the CFL. The Argos heading to Winnipeg at 6. Then at 8:30, BC hosts the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Elks on a bye week this weekend. Down at Footfield, the Golden Bears will take on the University of Regina. That one starting at 7 o'clock. In the CJFL, the Wildcats will host the Calgary Colts on Saturday out at Sherwood Park. That one gets going at 7. And then on Sunday, the Huskies in Winnipeg taking on the Rifles. That one gets going at 11 a.m. AJHL today, it is the showcase down in Calgary. Finals from earlier today had Camrose getting past Fort Mac 1-0. It was Sherwood Park. Well, they lead Lloydminster 3-1 with 15 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Later tonight, Drayton Valley takes on Calgary. And the main event, Spruce Grove up against Olds. That one gets going just after 8 o'clock. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host, Wanye Gretz. We'll ask 5 questions and hear from Dan Rosen of NHL.com.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, the clear choice for all your auto, residential, and commercial glass. Call 310 Glass or book now at crystalglass.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We return on Edmonton Sports Leader TSN 12, Sports 1440. My goodness. Watching you guys get caffeinated over here. Now I'm just all out of sorts.
How often does that happen?
That's another $20. God! Embarrassing. Pot keeps growing. I think it's up to like 280 now, and it's all me. So brutal. Brutal. It's Sports 1440. Also live on Oilers Nation YouTube. Presented by PlayAlberta.ca. I never get that wrong. PlayAlberta.ca. Your home. For now, they have boost bets. So little unique ones. And trust me, come the NHL season, Oiler fans, there'll be some that will very much intrigue you. So check it out at PlayAlberta.ca, where tonight you can get your tickets 30 mil. Lotto Max. Whew, nice. Still not as much as Steph Curry makes in a year, but it'd be pretty good. We welcome in our, and by the way, we're at 6:50. We're auctioning off 4 Loge tickets to Iron Maiden tonight with a parking pass, and Dawn has it at 6:50. All the proceeds going to charity. You can text in 833-401-1440 or call Connor at same number, 833-401-1440. It's a multitask number, text or phone, which is great. You don't have to memorize 2. You only have to know 1. It's pretty convenient. As welcome in a gentleman who loves numbers. He's a big coder, real big coder.
Oh, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your personal phone number he's giving out, Connor?
No, this isn't Ryan Rashog.
That's the text line? Take that home with you at night, see what comes in?
God, I wish Rashog would do that again. The greatest part is there's still a guy. He tweeted out his own phone number once.
What?
Yeah, accidentally, he says. And there's people that still have that number, and they just send him random texts. It's unbelievable. That's like the greatest long-running commitment to a joke that I can think of.
Why didn't he change his number?
I guess he doesn't get that many of them.
Oh.
Right?
I got one weird text. I'd change my number. I'm out.
Yeah, I've had the same number for a long time. I wouldn't.
But you have so many contacts. Like you have so many amazing people in your phone that can text you or vice versa. Your phone number is like really important to your career.
Yeah, but if I change my number, I would just text those people and say, "Here's my new number." Right? That's happened to me. I've seen people that they change. Hey, that guys move to a new city or something. Here's my new cell number.
It's a tough commitment though for some.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it'd be hard, dude. I can barely say that. Now, granted, I was on the radio. I probably say those call letters more than I say my phone number. It's not like I walk around saying my phone number.
Who are you, Rashog?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I almost was like, hey, my phone number. Well, wait a sec. Not going to say that out loud.
How many people's phone numbers do you actually know in this day and age? Like back in the day, you had to memorize your friends' phone numbers. Now I don't know anyone's numbers.
No, I think I know like probably 8 to 10 of my buddies, because they've had a lot of them have had
Old
the same
school.
number. Yeah. Like I know my the farm number.
Yeah.
Because it's the same. So that's great. I know my wife's number. I know a few of my good buddies' numbers. Yeah. But
I remember when we got area codes. Remember that?
Well, yeah.
Prior to that, just like 7 quick digits.
I feel sorry for the 587 people. They're like the Elaine Bettis and Seinfeld. It's not. You'd rather be a 780.
There's the haves, and then there's the have-nots.
587.
Yeah.
They're like, I know there's, but still, like I look at our text line, and I would say the majority are 780s. The 587 people, they're probably a little shy.
Yeah.
Right? It's different. Now, I see you two guys. So earlier this week, Connor Halley, and this is a sign, might have to do this more often. So Cons was telling about his love for vanilla iced coffee. Is that correct, Connor?
Yeah, sugar-free vanilla iced coffee, McDonald's, the best.
And they delivered it to you today.
I want to make sure.
Like, here's the thing I like. So they deliver Connor all of this iced coffee that you guys and Declan are drinking, knowing full well that I don't like coffee. They don't even bring me one drink for me. What the hell's going on?
1 bottle of Bacardi Limon.
Yeah, feel free.
Just a quick one.
Just give me a bottle of water. I'm fine.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
They just assume. They assume you have a lot.
I'm kidding. Mike.
Here at the mall,
Mike at McDonald's asked, he goes, hey, can I drop it off to Connor? I'm like, 100%. But just don't bring 4 because I don't drink it, so I don't want to waste it. So, but they brought you guys
6.
They brought you 3 of
6
like
iced coffees.
2 different types, did they not?
Yeah, we can make our own. We got some.
What do you mean you make your own?
I believe we've got some liquid sugar here.
Hold on. Is this sugar-free sugar? Because you said it's a sugar-free iced coffee.
I think the ones they sent us are sugar-free, but that one has some sugar-free, and we've got some cream. I don't know, Gregor, you don't drink coffee, but we've got some cream.
Would you like a glass of cream?
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly chilled.
Yeah. No. Do I want
on a Friday afternoon?
Hey, dude, I'll tell you, you guys have probably never had fresh farm cream. It is, You have fresh farm cream and then you whip it into whipped cream. It is like the store-bought stuff. Come on. It's not even fresh farm cream is like the Connor McDavid of cream. That's how much better it is than the store-bought whipped cream that you get in the box.
When the McDonald's came in at first, I thought, wow, they got all this free McDonald's. And I was like, calm down, Wanye. They might have just ordered Uber Eats. No, in fact, it is all free. This is the big leagues.
Yeah.
This is 1440.
Yeah. Another thing I've never done, order Uber Eats. I don't order skip the dishes. I always go to the restaurant and pick it up.
Oh, yeah, me either.
Mm-hmm. That's just my thing. Because now I don't order out a lot. But when I do, I'm like, because I know that there's like 25% going to skip. So I'm like, you know what? Helping out the small guy. And I don't mind. I don't do it often enough. So I plan ahead. I know I have to go pick it up. No big deal.
Why don't we get behind supporting faceless billion-dollar apps? Why don't we just say, hey, you know what? They need their money. You know what I mean? They're publicly traded.
I don't think that I'm going to make them go and broke by not supporting them is the way I look at it. I think they're doing just fine.
Uber Eats might be the peak of our civilization, Gregor. You could order anything you want without getting up from your couch, and they will just bring it right to your front door like a Shaw.
But you have to get off your couch because you got to get to your door.
Oh, there's another app you can call called Skip the Walking, and you can have them pick it up at the door and bring it right to your couch. And that's the real. That's where you pay that last mile.
Well, you've built an app before.
Skip the Walking.
Why don't you build that app?
I use Uber Eats like more than I phone people. I have like a lineup of Uber Eats people outside. Some bringing cleaning products, other bringing breakfast. They run into each other. They have a meeting. I'm like, just bring it all up on the porch, boys. Just bring it up here.
You're not even joking. That's what's funny about it.
No.
Greg's, yes, fresh farm cream. Put on top of freshly picked raspberries or Saskatoons. Or morel mushrooms from Clay. Well, I'll take your word on the last one, Clay. But you are fresh fruit and cream. Like I know you're looking at me like, do you even know what a fruit is?
I don't. I'm familiar with the concept.
Okay.
It's sugar-free fruit in a McDonald's cup, I assume.
Hey guys, my dad always talked about fresh farm cream in your coffee. It's the best from Jack. Jack, you know what? It's probably very true. Because we had our neighbors, the Van Sickles, who, by the way, this is I still to this day, I call her, they were Mr. and Mrs. That's what I called them, Mr. and Mrs. Because as a young kid, I couldn't say their last name, couldn't say Van Sickle. So and I still call her Mrs. Like just Mrs. Hey, Mrs., how you doing? And it was Mr. Now, Mr.'s passed away, unfortunately, but it was always Mr. and Mrs., never their last name. No one else, like anybody else, I mean, is like, oh, back now. I know nowadays no one really uses Mr. and Mrs. very often, but in our generation, that's what you call.
If you called an adult by their first name, you were going to get in trouble.
I know, I don't know. I know that's when I know I'm old because I see some kids like, now, everybody's like first name. And I'm like, pardon? What? Yeah. No. Like it's not Mr. No one ever, the kids in the neighborhood never, hey, Mr. Gregor. It's always like, hey, Jason. I'm like, which is fine. I don't mind it.
I don't know.
Part of me is like,
I don't know. I think you earned the
Mr. on it. Yeah. Like I wonder, but how do you go about, hey, 6-year-old, call me Mr.
Remember Sound of Music when all the kids come out by height and salute and do a dance, they play the whistle? That's the kind of discipline I look for in today's kids.
Hey, Greg's, what about us 403s? Well, that means you're a Southern Albertan, aren't you? Like, can you get a 403 area code if you live in Edmonton? Like, if you went out and got a phone today, you wouldn't get the 403 if you live in Edmonton. 403s have to be like on the other side of Red Deer, are they not?
I think so.
And I'm asking the question.
And there's a 587 of Southern Alberta too.
Well, yeah, the 587.
No, but there's another weirdo, like 403 is the southern half, but there's another area code for the southern half. They're 587.
There's 4 area codes in Alberta now?
I think there's more.
What? Come on. So far we have 780s dominating. We do have a few. Cat Dad says, hey, speaking for the 587s. There you go. All right.
825.
825.
Is that Southern Alberta's 587?
Well,
no, I think that's all Alberta.
It's all over. And then 368 apparently was created.
What?
368. You try to text me from a 368? I think it's a scam, and I'm going to block you.
Yeah, that's automatic getting spam on your phone.
Yeah, no.
Like, who's this three? Like, there's no chance you're dating if you got a 368.
No.
Yeah,
you're out.
You might as well just.
Every time you text someone,
over.
they report you to Apple as spam.
Like, could you if you have a 368, can you go on a waiting list to get can you call it and say, hey guys, when someone passed away or they give their number back, can I get that number, please? Yeah. Can I get a 780?
Like a civilized person.
I wonder if you can do that. You should be able to. And I tell you, if I was a 368, I would pay $20 to stay in the waiting list. I'll be like, here's my $20. I'm waiting. Give me that number.
Can you imagine the first person that gets that? They're like, sorry, we're all out of 403s. You're like, what? You're the first person in the province to get the new area code. Everyone you text will
it's the
assume
worst. Yeah.
you're spam.
They're like, who's this? Well, texting, they'll know because it'll say your name. But anybody that calls, you're just like, I'm not. Like, because you're one of those, you never answer the phone if you don't know who it is, do you?
Never.
Yeah.
It's always it's always a hacker call. Like it's always a robocaller. I bet you I get 10 a week, Gregor. Don't you?
Not anymore.
Every number that I don't know is always a robot call. Always.
No, I haven't.
They leave voicemails now.
I find they go in stretches where, it happens and then it doesn't. So like you get 6 or 8 all of a sudden in a week and you're just like, what? But now my phone will come up and it'll say most likely spam. So then I just don't answer.
See, I'm a 367. So I'm mostly getting spam.
It's 368. Okay.
Oh,
if you're going to lie, at least lie accurately.
Yeah. Well,
come on.
It's okay. No one ever texts them back.
By the way, I know your number.
Yeah. 367.
Yeah.
1440.
Yeah. Your next thing you're going to say is, hey guys, I'm 8675.
Yeah. My phone number is
309.
1-833-401-1440. Hit me up.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Call them right now.
Right now.
I like it. We'll get back on Sports Track when we return. It's Positive Friday. Every now and then, you know what? That's probably the first time since we've been on 1440 that we got completely off the rails.
Shocking.
Which is nice.
Shocking.
Nice.
I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It was always Strutty would be in. Trust me, we would spend an hour talking about nothing. It was like Seinfeld of sports, which is good at times. It's Positive Friday. Everybody's laid back. They're relaxed. The Oilers are in Calgary. Preseason game. Jack Campbell's starting. Carter Savoy, the local guy, is going to play his first preseason game. He had a little bit of a nagging injury. Nothing crazy, but that's why he didn't play in the first 3 games. But he will play tonight. Vinny Desharnais. Lots of young guys are going. Dylan Holloway's playing. James Hamlin's in. So we'll go through the whole lineup a little bit later on in the program. We'll come back. We are joined by Dan Rosen talking all things NHL. Some interesting storylines around the league to discuss on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
A solid financial Alberta drivers, new rules are in place to protect roadside workers. Now, when you see first responders, tow trucks, or highway maintenance vehicles with flashing lights on the side of the road, you must move over if it's safe to do so. If you can't move over, slow down to at least 60 kilometers an hour. Help protect Alberta's roadside workers. It's the law. Learn more at alberta.ca/road worker safety. A message from the Government of Alberta.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip. Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus, please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
Denim Ford's roots run deep in the history of Central Alberta. Like always, you can experience the same honest pricing and honest service that you've come to expect from all of us at Denim Ford for the past 65 years. Denim Ford is proud to be Canada's only 50-time President Award-winning dealership in customer satisfaction, treating every customer like family. Visit Denim Ford on the world-famous Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or from home at denimford.ca.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by CanTorque. We've continued developing tools and are excited to announce our newest design, battery-powered nut runners. 4 models from 500 to 3,000 foot-pounds with more on the way. Learn more at cantorque.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday, rolling along the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you. Remind you, we are at $650 for the Iron Maiden tickets, 4 of them in the Loge table. So get a little privacy, the Loge table, and a parking pass. It's a sweet deal. It's all for charity, currently at $650. If you want to go, you can text Connor 833-401-1440. It's also the number you can call if you want to call him, 833-401-1440. There you go. Let's go around the NHL now, brought to you by McDonald's, where maybe we'll have to get Connor to voice a commercial about their vanilla. Is it what now? What's the proper term? Vanilla ice coffee?
I like to say sugar-free vanilla iced coffee. Large.
Now, does it come with their expertly filtered water? Because you know what? It's actually true. Because people were telling us that they actually have expertly filtered water, and that's what makes things taste better there.
That's why everything tastes the same in every McDonald's.
Consistency matters.
Because they clean up everything going into the pop machine. They clean up everything going in the coffee machine, so it's the same water.
There you go. Things we learned.
Coke tastes better at McDonald's. Agreed?
Dude, you know me. I don't drink pop.
You don't drink coffee.
But
you don't drink pop.
But I don't drink pop. When the pop that I've had at McDonald's, I was always the orange pop guy. I love orange pop. If I'm drinking pop,
orange
that's what I'm
pop.
drinking. Yeah. That's what I'm drinking, man. I might mix in a 7-Up every now and then. Or Sprite. Either one.
But it's better at McDonald's.
I'm sure it is.
Because they turn it over so fast.
I like the orange juice at McDonald's.
You're the weird order. You're like, oh, I'll have an orange juice and half a croissant and a cup of gravy.
Can I have a double cheeseburger? No onions, please?
Yeah.
Because then, oh, buddy, it's money. So good.
Double cheeseburger, no onions?
Yes. Double cheeseburger, no onions. With 6 McNuggets barbecue sauce.
Okay. You're human still. You're not Connor Bedard, never eating any junk food.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit weird.
Now, our next guest, I have no idea what his big order is at McDonald's. We'll find out. Dan Rosen from NHL.com joins us. Dan, if you're going to McDonald's, what's your one order? What's your go-to?
Well, I haven't been to McDonald's in a while, but it's either a double quarter pounder or a Big Mac. Loaded up.
Double quarter pounder. Yeah. Jeez. Hey.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You're going to go in. Go all in.
You got to go all in.
Yeah.
And yes, 100% Coke tastes better out of a fountain, no matter where.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's got to be Coke.
Yeah, I would agree that Coke is better than Pepsi. 100%. Like, when you go,
well, it's not even that. I'm just saying, if that's what they're serving there,
yes.
If it's a Coke machine, it's got to be Coke. I'm not getting anything else. It's got to be Coke.
Yeah. See, Coke's like the 780 of area codes, and Pepsi's the 587, and all the other 368s. Like, how many area codes, Dan, you got in New York now? Like 27?
Yeah, I don't know.
Too many to count.
It's a lot.
They were making fun of it in Seinfeld 30 years ago.
Yeah,
how many area codes
so
they
you have
had.
no idea. No idea.
That's right.
What's interesting, Dan, if I look at the Eastern Conference, I think I can make an argument. There's the 8 teams that made the playoffs last year. Pittsburgh and Buffalo missed it by 1 point. I think Ottawa's improved. They had missed by 6. And I think I can convince myself to put Detroit in that conversation. I'm not like Washington's my wild card. Do you think Washington can get back to the postseason?
I think I mean, they could, yeah, but the thing with the Caps is they're old and they're not very, very quick. And their younger guys are not ready to take that next step. So they're kind of caught, in that they don't have the middle, if you will. You need your younger guys to be pushing up and taking that next step, and your older guys to still be sort of in the primes of their careers. Well, Ovechkin still can play, no question about it. Kuznetsov can too. Backstrom's coming off major injuries. I'm not 100% sure he can ever be the same Nick Backstrom. And defense is not very, Carlson's a good player, obviously, but it's not incredibly a mobile defense. I don't love their depth. TJ Oshie, I love TJ Oshie as a player, hard-nosed guy, but seemingly always hurt, right, these days, and older. So I don't think so. I mean, you look at the teams now in the Metro, right? Carolina, New Jersey, New York, not going anywhere this year. No question about that. Pittsburgh, I think, is improved. How could they not be with Erik Karlsson, right? They're improved. The Islanders going to have the defense and goaltending. They're going to struggle to score, but they're going to have the defense and goaltending. I don't necessarily see it from Washington this year. I didn't see it last year, and I don't see any changes coming from them this season, especially in the East. Like you said, Buffalo's coming up, Ottawa's coming up, Detroit's coming up, and Pittsburgh is going to be back, not to the level of Stanley Cup back, I don't think, but I think they're going to be right there, and I think they're a playoff team.
If Buffalo's going to get in, and I know they were super close last year, like they're a very exciting team to watch, but man, like their 5-on-5 defense, the amount of shots and chances and goals against, like we're talking 30th. It was brutal. Like, and I like Dahlin. I really like Owen Power. Now they brought in Clifton. They brought in Eric Johnson. Do you think their overall team defense is it good enough to improve that they can become a playoff team?
Yeah, I do. But the biggest question to me is not necessarily their team defense. It's their goaltending, because they got 3 guys who have 100 games of NHL experience combined with them. Now, they're not the one with the biggest question in goal in that division. That happened yesterday.
No, Tampa.
with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But no, I do. I like the Sabres, and I think Devin Levi can be the guy. Is it too much to ask a guy who is, I mean, what's Devin Levi now? 21 years old, something like that. Yeah, I think he is 21, about to turn 22. It's a lot to ask of him, but guy's got a swagger about him. He's got a mentality that I think will play well. He's the kind of guy who we know he's technically sound and he's a good goaltender. But if things go bad, I think his mentality is like, brush it off. It's a one-off. I'll get him next time. And I like that. And I also think with their defense, the additions of Connor Clifton and Eric Johnson. Now, these are not, you're not exactly talking, especially Eric Johnson, like this mobile defenseman, but he's steady. He's a steady stay-at-home guy, and he was a reason he was successful in Colorado, because the team around him could move, and they knew exactly where Eric Johnson would be in the defensive zone. He just plays his role well. I think both of those guys, you're adding an element of veterans. You're adding elements of guys who've been to the Stanley Cup final before. And I think that really will play a factor for their defense. And so to me, it's a little bit more of a question in goal than it is necessarily on their back end. And if they can get a full season out, I mean, yes, Dahlin, Power, I mentioned Clifton, I obviously mentioned Johnson, but if they get a full season out of Matthias Samuelsson, that's going to be big. He played 55 games last year. I don't know their record, but I know it was good when Matthias Samuelsson was in net. He was a plus player for them at even strength, big time plus player, played almost 23 minutes a night. If he can play a full season, they'll be a better team than they were a year ago, and just a little bit better will get them in the playoffs.
Dan Rosen from NHL.com joins us. You mentioned Vasilevsky, so it's 2 months that he is out. There are lots of teams that have, like a third goalie that's probably decent enough to patch things for 2 months, because that's what they're looking for. It's not like this is a season-long ending injury or anything. That they can't, for some people claiming they manipulate the cap, they can't do that. Sure, they can put a guy, and they can't really bring in too big of a contract, because the minute Vasilevsky comes back, then whoever they bring in, likely either they keep him with Vasilevsky and get rid of their other two guys, or they got to get rid of that guy. So, you mentioned Buffalo. Like, if they waive Eric Comrie, maybe that's a guy that Tampa Bay looks at potentially. But I see Tampa. Spencer Martin got claimed by Columbus today. I think Tampa Bay is just going to wait here, Dan, and in the next week to 10 days, there's going to be 4 or 5 goalies that go on the waiver wire, and they're going to say, okay, which one do we want?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. They'll pick somebody off waivers, or a guy like Jaro Halak is still out there. He's not going to cost you that much money, and if it ends up that when Vasilevsky comes back, you got to get rid of you'll be able to manage this situation that way. It's not about who they're going to get. They're going to get somebody. They're not going into this regular season with Jonas Johansson, Matt Tompkins, and Hugo Alnefelt as their goaltenders. They have a combined 36 games of NHL experience. 35 of them are Johansson's, and that's spread across 4 seasons with 3 teams, and he hasn't been very good. So no, I don't. In fact, I remember talking with somebody from Tampa over the summer. I said, "Is Johansson the backup?" And they're like, "I guess as of now." It wasn't even sold on it then, right? So he's not going to be the number one, or he's not going to just be granted that for 2 months with Vasilevsky out. They're going to get somebody. I have no doubt about that. But it's not Vasilevsky. It's nowhere near Vasilevsky. And that's the problem. It's not that they're not going to get somebody. If they're going to, they're not going to be able to have that steadying presence every night for the first 2 months of the season in a division that has 7 teams right now that believe they could and should be playoff teams. You lose out on 3 or 4 points in the first 2 months of the season, and I'm only talking 3 or 4 points. You could miss out on making the playoffs. That's where the issue is, I think, for the Lightning. It's the bigger picture issue. It's not in the small picture of who's going to be in net. They'll find somebody, but he's not going to be as good. He's not going to be as close to being as good, and he's not going to have the presence of Vasilevsky, and Vasilevsky's presence has been a big factor in their success. They've lost guys. Stamkos is announced. Kucherov missed the whole season. Stamkos didn't play in the playoffs, and they've survived. Why? Because Vasilevsky put him on. He was that good. They don't have that guy now, and he's the most important position on the ice.
Let's go to the West, Dan, and Edmonton, Vegas, Dallas, Colorado. I think most people say, okay, those are the 4 that are in. Mm-hmm. The Pacific Division had 4 100-point teams. The only division that had 4 100-point teams last year, Seattle, LA. LA went out and probably made the biggest acquisition, bringing in Dubois. Calgary lost 17 games in overtime / shootout last year and missed the playoffs by 2 points. Right? So I think they will be improved. Right? The Canucks, I think, should be improved. What do you make of the Pacific Division? I think there's going to be 5 teams, and Seattle, LA, the 4 that made it, plus Vancouver and Calgary. So which one do you think misses? Because only 5 can make it.
Yeah, no, it's true. I like the division. I think it's amazing how it's flipped, right? It used to be like, well, is that, what kind of division or you got there and all that? But I think it's good. And I do agree with you. I think it's 5 teams, and I think the 5 are Vegas, Edmonton, LA, Seattle, and Vancouver. I like Calgary. I do, but you need a big turnaround season from Markstrom to do that. You've got a lot of guys who won fewer now, but a lot of guys who are pending UFAs after, and what are they going to go with that situation? Is it going to be a distraction? I don't know. So there's some question marks there, but what I like about Vancouver, maybe a little bit more than I like about Calgary, is when Thatcher Demko came back and played, they just were so much better. Now the schedule was in their favor and the pressure was off, but they have that more high end talent, I think. I love Quinn Hughes on the back end. That's somebody Calgary really doesn't have. And Demko, to me, is a guy, if he plays the full season, he could be a Vezina Trophy guy. He really could be. You can get Markstrom on a bounce back, and that's okay, but I don't think Markstrom's going to be any better than he was 2 years ago. And he's not going to be as bad as he was last year, but he's going to be somewhere in between. Demko, to me, is a guy that can be a real big difference maker for Vancouver. I like that team, and I like the way they're going to be coached. I think Rick Tocchet did a good job when he went in last year. If they can get that PK improved, it was bad last year, and it wasn't great when Tocchet took over. If they can improve that PK, and they brought in guys to do that, I think this team can be a lot better, and it can be a playoff team.
How many points do you think Connor McDavid scores this season?
So we had this debate on this is based off Sidney Crosby, who's like, he'll score 170 points, right? And Sean Rourke, my co-host, and I on the NHL At the Rink podcast talked about this. Look, I think McDavid could score 160 points. I wouldn't be shocked if he got 170. Honestly, I wouldn't be. I'm not going to put a limit on what McDavid's production can be. I think you'd be crazy to put a limit on it. The guy just keeps improving and keeps shattering that limit that we all put on him, right? But is it good for the Edmonton Oilers if Connor McDavid gets 170 points? Is that what you want? Or do you want Connor McDavid playing the full ice, playing the full game, and other guys picking up some of the slack around him, so you have a more complete and a more deeper team of guys who can score? And if McDavid's the guy who's running out there getting 70, that means everybody's watching him. Everybody's waiting for him to produce. And if everybody's waiting for him to produce, you don't really have a team that's going to go the distance. And the Oilers believe they can. So I think you can get to her. I don't know that it's, and Sean brought this up on our podcast, and I didn't think of it, and I agree with him. I don't know if it's a good thing for the Oilers if he does, though.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree with that. Wayne Gretzky Wayne Gretzky used to win the scoring race by 80, but he would still win the scoring race by 80 points. So prorated to whatever we want.
But he also had a lot of guys on that team that weren't just watching Gretzky all the time. Those guys were producing too, and they were ready to go. And yes, Leon's there, and I think the world of Leon. But we saw at times, and you guys, I don't know how you disagree with it. There's times where I don't want to call them passengers, but they become watchers a little bit, or waiting for McDavid to do the job. And that means that you're not getting much production, and it happened in the playoffs, out of your, the rest of your lineup. And you want the rest of your lineup to take ownership. I wanted guys to step up and be like, no, Connor, I'm going to do it tonight. It's my turn, And I don't, and if you get that, Connor's not going to back off. So you're going to have both of them going, right? Or all three of them going, or whatever. So it's a tough debate. I think I won't put a ceiling. To answer the question, I can't put a ceiling on what McDavid can do. I think what did he have, 153 last year? He could do that again. He could get more. It's just a question of the rest of the team, and is the rest of the team going to be better if he does?
Interesting. All right, Dan, thanks for this, my man. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too, guys. Thanks.
That's Dan Rosen from NHL.com. Text line is heating up. I'm not. Would you like his wingers to produce more? Yes, but if McDavid's scoring, I don't think the third line guys go on the ice to say, "Well, we're never going to score because Connor's going to score." Like, I don't know if I really see that.
Too many points. What website's he from?
NHL.com.
Never heard of it. That's preposterous talk.
Yeah, well, at least he didn't go with the because and hey, different opinions is totally fine. I hadn't thought of it that way. I was happy he didn't say, well, they got to play better defense, because I just went through the last segment telling how when the Oilers actually led the NHL in scoring at 4.43 goals against, they were 9th in goals against. They don't need to be number 1 in goals against. That's not their forte. I don't expect the Oilers to they don't need to be number 1 in goals against. Honestly, it doesn't matter. That's not the strength of their team.
There's no upward limit to Connor's production that can hurt this team.
And here's the one thing though that I always, when people say, well, the playoffs are completely different. Once you start the playoffs, everything starts back at 0. So if you have 120 points in the regular season, or 140 or 160, it's irrelevant, because now the playoffs start all over again. And And we've seen guys who produce well in a regular season don't produce in the playoffs. We've seen other guys who didn't have a good regular season. All of a sudden, Chris Kontos, John Druce are coming out of nowhere and they're lighting it up in the playoffs. So to me, it's all about, you can't win the Stanley Cup in the regular season. I've never understood the argument when if we ask a question about the regular season, that it becomes a conversation about the playoffs. They're two different things. They're completely two different things. Now, you have to play a certain way in the regular season and help build some things up. Yes, 100%. But McDavid producing in the regular season doesn't mean, well, now the guys aren't going to produce in the playoffs. I don't see that connection.
Tell you where I did agree with him. Calgary not playing well this year. Don't expect much from the Flames or the city of Calgary.
Really?
Nothing.
See, I think Calgary's actually
in that arena, that old barn.
Buddy, you know what's funny about
that? One solid gust of wind shall fall.
It is an old barn. I know it's crumbling at times.
So is the city of Calgary.
But here's the thing. I actually like the atmosphere in the dome because you're closer to the rink.
Closer to the Flames.
Yeah.
Gross.
Oh, well, it's close to the rink. That's all I'm saying. It's like, I like the old barns because you're a little bit more compact. Like Rogers Place is super nice, but Rexall Place I found had a better atmosphere watching the game. Rogers has way better amenities, no question. Like the players obviously love everything about it way better, no question. But as far as an atmosphere, I like Rexall better.
Thinking of that arena, excuse me, built without really any luxury in mind when it was built, right? It was like concrete seats.
Well, yeah, it was
Now Rogers was
1974,
built.
man.
Yeah, it's like the Hilton opened up an arena.
Yeah, well, it's
night and day different.
Times have changed.
They have changed.
Hey, guys, I have to disagree with your guest, which is fine. But didn't the Oilers have 3 100-point guys last year?
Yeah.
Yes. And Zach Hyman had over 80 points. Like, I think McDavid scoring 153 points didn't limit other guys. Look how many guys had career years on Edmonton last year. David, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, McLeod, Costin,
Matt Berlin,
Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard, I think, had a career high in assists, maybe even points. So there's quite a few, right? So if McDavid's scoring 170 points, that just means there's more guys that are going to have career years. Just my thoughts on that.
Sorry, Dan.
We'll come back with 5 questions. Also, Brent is up to 700 on the Iron Maiden tickets. And, by the way, Patty from the Brew House. Do you want to go to the Oil Kings game tonight? 4 low seats with a parking pass. Geez, Connor must be doing great work. Him and Brandon down at the Brew House are giving us free tickets. So just for you, you text in the word Brew House right now. 833-401-1440, and Connor will pick a random winner. Brew House with your email. Include your email, because then Connor's going to e-transfer you the tickets and the parking pass. Courtesy of the Brew House. You'll go to the game tonight.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its 2nd season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the U14, 15, 17, and U18 age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast online on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
GoBullRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Ewell, from LED lighting audits and retrofits to design, build, distribution systems. Ewell service can give you the edge you need to impress your clients. Ewell.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor, Halley, Wanye Gretz with you on a positive Friday. The Avro Arrow says, guys, I have to agree with your guest. The Oilers have had too many passengers, but not in the regular season. As I said, last year, everybody had 10 goals in their bottom six. And remember, it's not like their bottom six guys are pumping it in on the power play. They don't get any power play time, right? So that was all even strength or shorthanded goals from bottom six. That's really good production, in fact. So in the playoffs, would you have liked more goals? 100%. But they're two different things. What McDavid produces in the regular season is irrelevant to the production. Because look, the guys produced in the regular season in the bottom six, and then they didn't in the playoffs. Why? Because it's a different beast. You start at zero. What you do in the regular season means absolutely nothing. Hello, Boston Bruins. It happens. Okay. Hello, Tampa Bay Lightning, 2019. Hello, Detroit Red Wings, 2006. It happens, right? What you do in the regular, I never buy that argument. I'm sorry. I think it's ridiculous. Well, they did this in the regular season. So what? Doesn't guarantee you anything. You've got to play. If you dominate in the regular season, then you got to bring that game. And you got to find a way to elevate it, because most teams will elevate their game from what they're doing in the regular season to the playoffs. Right? Just how it goes. Connor's going to pick someone to go to the game tonight. And actually, I think we're going to get in the final hour, we'll send someone to the game on Sunday as well. So we got Oil Kings tonight, Sunday. And Brent currently is at $700 for the low seats.
How are the Oil Kings looking this year, Gregor?
They'll be competitive.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they'll be much more competitive than they were last year.
Okay.
There's
such a quick cycle in junior hockey.
It is, yes. They brought in some older guys this season. Unfortunately, they got some injuries. Like Nash won't be ready until November. They just did get some guys back from NHL camp, so that should help them heading in this weekend. Like they've only played 2 games. They're 1-1. They won in Red Deer, lost at home, and now they are at home tonight and Sunday afternoon at 4:00. So 2 Oil Kings games this weekend, 2 Oiler games this weekend. No Elks. They're on a bye. There's lots of junior football, of course. CIS football. You got AJHL. It's coming up, baby. Lots going on. NFL. You like it? Ryder Cup is going on. What an ass kicking. You're a big golfer, man. The Europeans absolutely demolished the Americans on day one. You don't see that very often.
No. They'll come back. Day 2 is going to be, that's a embarrassment for the whole country.
Yeah, I don't know if they're coming back.
Wow, but they'll be better.
Wow,
they have to be.
Because you can't be
be
worse
than 0.
It's like after the 2010, the Oilers won't finish 30th again. Oh, geez, 2011. Oh, the Oilers won't finish 30th again. Oh, geez. But they did finish 29th or 8th, was it? 29th, I think, in 2012. So they did technically improve a bit. Let's get to 5 questions, or as Connor Halley likes to say, 5 questions, brought to you by The Brick, where the buy more, save more, give more event is on right now. A portion of proceeds will be donated to the Children's Miracle Network to help your local Children's Hospital Foundation. Visit your local Brick store and learn more.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1 for you today. As the preseason rolls on for the Oilers, obviously not too many position battles to speculate on, but are there any you'll be keeping an eye out for in the remaining games?
Well, I think for me, there's the obvious one is the 4th line, because I really think that's the only battle, guys. Like, I don't like Broberg and Desharnais. Okay, I guess, but they're both going to be they both might be in the opening night lineup because they both played last year. I wouldn't be stunned if the first game they go 11-7. I wouldn't be shocked by it. So I think really the only battle I see is who's going to be the 12th forward, whether it's going to be Sutter, whether it's going to be Lane Peterson, whether it's going to be Raphael Lavoie. I don't like Adam Ernie. I'm sorry. I don't really have him in that conversation. So that's where I see it. That's the only job up for grabs.
I want to see how Jack Campbell can play. I want to see how he'll play, how he'll bounce back. What can we expect from him this year? And I think every start's going to give us a picture.
Well, I'll say this. If you're a believer in the power of flow, then Jack Campbell's going to have a bounce back year. He's let his hair grow out.
He looks good.
He's got, him and Stuart Skinner are kind of having like a surfer competition to see who has better hair.
A lot of questions, Gregor, here just about TV. Not on tonight, but tomorrow's game is, correct?
Yes, tomorrow's game. The Vancouver games are always on TV because that's part of their package with Sportsnet. They cover their preseason games. So, yeah, on Order fans, you don't get to watch tonight on TV, but you will get to see tomorrow.
Perfect. Okay, question number 2. Probably not a big surprise for most of us, but Steve Staios joining the Ottawa Senators front office after a stint here in town. What do you think is the best asset or attribute that he brings to the Sens organization?
I mean, to have the opportunity here in Edmonton and the opportunity in Ottawa, he's got to bring something to the table, right? And there's very few jobs like this, and to be courted by 2 teams.
I look at Staios. If you look at his career, he was give everything you've got type of player. He's always a smart guy. I think he's a really good communicator. He had a reputation of being a pretty good room guy, pretty good team guy. So I think what he's going to bring is he'll be able to work well with others, which I think is key because it's rare that you come in, you're the president of hockey operations. In theory, you're above the GM, but the GM stays there and it's not the GM you hired. So, they got to find a way to work well together. Pierre Dorian was like, hey, this is great, man. Basically, for a long time, I had no help and I was begging for help. Basically saying they needed more people in management. So he's happy to have him. Now, of course, that's what he's going to say. It's because it's a new boss. What else are you going to say? Well, this sucks, man. I want this guy here. Of course not. But I think what Steve Staios will bring is just kind of like a workman-like attitude because that's really all he knows. That's what he was as a player. Because remember, when he was in junior, he was actually a forward. And then he got switched to playing defense in junior.
I saw him once at a red light in a Ford F-150. And I looked over and he was playing for the Oil and he was just looking out the window, cool as ice. You can't put a price on that kind of leadership. I think that's all I need to say about that.
Yeah. Okay, Forrest.
Yep. We'll bring that to Ottawa.
I remember him from an NHL video game where he played forward for the Atlanta Thrashers.
That's true. He did. And he played forward a bit for Vancouver.
Yeah. So that's
so versatile.
Built different. Question number 3 for you guys. The Edmonton Rodeo going on right now. The Pro Rodeo, in fact, today and tomorrow. I mean, you can see it in the mall. A lot of cowboys walking around today. If you had to compete in any event in the rodeo, what would it be?
One time I was at the rodeo at the old barn and a bull got into the crowd. Remember that?
Yes.
And I said to myself then, and I'll say it now, I would never go in the rodeo. This is way too dangerous.
Well, if I have to pick one, I would say steer wrestling. It would be, I don't have to ride the steer. I just have to wrestle it to the ground. Coming off the horse, I'm coming from an advantageous position.
That's a big drop.
A decent sized drop, yeah. But you know what? You're trained. You practice it enough. I would do that. I've ridden a steer, 1,200-pound steer. My cousin, because my cousin was Rod Warren, or is Rod Warren. He's not dead. And he was the all-around Canadian champ. So, he had a whole rodeo facility at his place. And I remember being a 14-year-old kid, you riding a steer at 1,000 pounds and felt like my shoulder got ripped out of its socket a few times. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. And a few of my cousins, went on rodeo scholarships to the States, bull riding and everything like that. Oh, yeah.
What?
No. Oh, yeah. And, they're all from up north by DeBolt and Valley View, right? It's like rodeo
good people
country.
up there.
Oh, yeah, very good. And I learned pretty quickly, like bull busting, man. Like my cousin, well, and of course he was a bull rider. His name's Bobby Joe. Like, are you kidding me? So it's like certain names where you're giving like, hey, what's your son's name? Bobby Joe. He's like, the doctor's like, is he going to ride bulls in life? Probably. So yeah, definitely not the bull riding. I would go with steer wrestling if I had to pick one.
I've ridden the bull at Cook County a half dozen times. I can't imagine it's much harder.
It's close. It's very similar.
Given my level of inebriation.
Yes, exactly.
The time.
Question number 4. This Sunday, 7:30 a.m. It's Toy Story Fun Day football, and the Jags take on the Falcons across the pond. It's going to be the first fully animated game set in the Toy Story world in Andy's room. Will you watch it? You guys got kids. You could probably get into it.
Oh,
The game looks like it's Toy Story.
Yeah.
Oh, you've never seen the NFL games like this? Kids love it, man.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so the live game.
So, well, obviously things are superimposed, the technology that you have, right? And so, like, they would score touchdowns. You should see the celebrations they have in the end zone with all, like, live streamers come flying across the screen. And so it's unbelievable. Yeah, kids love it. So I would, I love Toy Story, and it's 7:30 in the morning. So yeah,
The game's at 7:30 in the morning.
yeah, because it's in Europe.
And
So
it's going to be
7:30
Toy Story?
Yes.
And this is a football game?
Yes.
From Europe.
Yes.
Who won World War II? I can't even tell anymore.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
It's in London. Yeah, it's going to be cool. You can watch it like a normal game as well, but it's also
This is not what
for
we
the
intended.
kids. For the children.
Don't say it's for the kids. The kids don't care about a 7:30 a.m. game from overseas. This is for adults.
Oh, trust me. And that's the truth. I think there's lots of adults who love animated movies. So this is a way to be like, you know what? I'm watching it because my kids want to, and secretly like, this is so cool, right? That's the greatest thing about being a dad sometimes, when you can go back and watch all the shows and be like, no, honey, it's for my son or daughter. I'm watching them to really experience it. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there, tears inside of you as you relive your childhood.
Final question for you guys. Friday hypothetical. If you could know the truth behind any secret or mystery in the history of the world, what would it be?
I saw this when I was driving in because I was doing my homework at the last minute, and got a lot of options here. UFOs, pyramids. Why do we go off the gold standard? I think my biggest mystery is, why do we hire George Burnett? Guy did not know what he was doing as head coach of the Oilers. And 20 games later, we were like, no. How did things change so much in those 20 games? That's my mystery.
I've done a lot of thinking about this, Cons, because I'm trying to think, like, which is the one I'd really want to know because some of them I don't want to know the truth, right? You're just like, sometimes it's better.
It's too scary.
Not knowing. And then there's some that I don't even believe happened. So I would say I would probably like to know. I'm torn between two. I will say, I was going to say the caramel secret is a joke, but obviously we figured out what that was.
Witchcraft.
I'm. I guess, Cons. Actually, you know what? I'm going to defer to you because I still can't make up my mind, and I don't like humming and hawing. So I'll think about it while you give me your answer.
Well, I mean, I'd love to, and I think we're getting closer to the truth with aliens.
With every day.
Every day we're getting a little bit more. But another mystery that, I mean, it's made me think a few times. DB Cooper, who is he? Did he survive when he jumped out of the plane with that money? He performed the heist and got away. He probably died on the way down, but part of me thinks there's a chance that he survived. So DB Cooper, I need the truth.
Oof.
What happened to the first two members of Destiny's Child that were thrown out of the group? They started out with 4, then they went down to Kelly and Michelle.
Yeah. So I would like to know, only because on Positive Friday, and today's the anniversary of my father passing away, I'm going with the Big Bopper and Buddy Holly and their plane and what happened. Because my father really, he got me into that music. That was his genre. That was his time. And so he introduced me to all those songs. I love it.
And that was a plane crash with the most popular musicians of the day all on board.
Yeah, there's 3 of them, man. It was unreal. So yeah, I would like to know exactly, what happened. Like, I know at that time planes weren't as reliable as they are now, so I get all that. But I'd like to go back in time and uncover everything exactly.
Just on the topic of the truth coming out, did you guys see that Tupac's shooter was charged today?
What?
Yeah.
Why are we still wasting police resources on this? First of all, you can't get charged for a murder of somebody who isn't dead. Tupac is well alive.
Oh, stop.
Secondly, has there been somebody working on this for the last 30 years? Well, modern crimes go unsolved.
America's top minds were working on this the last 30
We've
years.
been working around the clock since 1996.
Who was it, by the way? Who do they charge?
Biggie Smalls in a shocking development.
Dwayne Davis.
Keith D, they call him. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
You don't know Keith D, Gregor?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, he never was a musician or anything.
Actually, I was surprised neither one of you went with like the Ark of the Covenant. I thought you guys would want to find out the mystery behind that.
Yeah, I think they went over it pretty well in the
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's historical fact.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Cons did bring it. We got a lot of texts coming in on the UFOs. There's lots of people that want to know if aliens are real.
Easiest question to answer.
Yeah, like
ever.
there's got to be other life forms out there.
Come
I just
on.
don't know if they've come here.
You ever take a long look at an octopus? Those things might be aliens. I'm not even kidding. They have like 8 brains. What's that all about? We should be looking into that instead of trying to solve Tupac's murder.
Hey guys, what happened to the guys who escaped Alcatraz? Now that is a good one. I've been to Alcatraz. Unbelievable. If you go to San Francisco, you got to go on the tour. It's amazing. Like full on amazing. We're way late. Cons keep never tell us we're late. Jeez, no wonder Spec's always up. We got to get on time. Let's get to sports update brought to you by Edmonton Kubota. Stop in this weekend if you want a great deal. 0% financing for 84 months on all compact BX tractors at edmontonkubota.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game day Oilers in action tonight, taking on the Flames down in Calgary. Puck drop set for 7 o'clock. The Ottawa Senators have appointed Steve Staios as their new president of hockey operations. Staios joined the Sens after resigning from his post with the Oilers, and the Minnesota Wild signing a couple forwards, Matt Zuccarello to a 2-year, $8.25 million, and Marcus Foligno, 4 years, worth $16 million. The Toronto Blue Jays in action tonight, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays momentarily. Currently sitting 2 games up on the Mariners and 1 game up on the Astros in the wild card race. The Oil Kings will play tonight down at Rogers Place, taking on Lethbridge just after 7. The two teams will meet again in a rematch on Sunday at 4. In the CFL, you got the Argos taking on the Bombers at 6, and at 8:30, BC hosting Saskatchewan. At Footfield, the Golden Bears take on the University of Regina. That one starting at 7. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show with guest host Wanye Gretz. Will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Alan Mitchell, the host of The Lowdown with Lowetide. I'm Connor Halley, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We continue on Positive Friday on Sports 1440. How are you, Jason Gregor? Connor Halley. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website, where tonight, get your tickets. Lotto Max, $30 million. 3-0 up for grabs at PlayAlberta.ca. I'm Jason Gregor alongside Wanye Gretz. You can get involved. You can always text us 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. That's also the number to call if you ever want to get in. Do that. That's where you can text or call if you want to bet. We have about 40 minutes to go in our auction. Brent has it at $700. I know how it works. It always goes up in the final hour. So it's all for charity. And you get 4 seats in the loge, so a loge table, and a parking pass for the Iron Maiden concert tomorrow night. So 833-401-1440. Now, let's get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. And they'd like to apologize. They know there's some slow-going construction areas on Stony Plain Road where they're at. They're heavy, they're involved, but say be patient. It'll be worth it in the end from GS Construction. As Mark Spector joins us. Spec, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Jay, it's Friday afternoon.
You headed down to the Iron Maiden concert, Spec? What are you doing?
You know what? I'm not. Is that tonight?
Tomorrow.
No, I won't be there, I'm afraid. I'm no stranger to rock shows. I've seen a lot of good rock shows in my life, but I won't be going tomorrow. In fact, every time I can't hear what you say, Jason, I can just blame it on like Black Sabbath or Judas Priest or maybe Pink Floyd or a couple AC/DCs. That's generally my excuse when I can't hear something.
What's one of your favorite shows you've seen in Edmonton over the years?
Well, I mean, that's like saying, who's your favorite kid, or, what's the best song?
Well, there's always one kid that stands out.
Yeah, you know what? If I had to pick one show that I went to that I'll never forget, that was maybe the best show I ever saw, it would have been the second Van Halen tour. They came through here for Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, and then the next year. They came through 3 years in a row when I was in like grade 9, 10, and 11 or something. And the second one with Eddie Van Halen, absolutely in his prime. David Lee Roth was the best front man in rock and roll music at that time. And that band, man, they were good. That was probably, I'm not sure I've seen, I'm not sure that's the best show I've seen, boys, but I've never seen a better one than that.
Sick.
Okay. The Edmonton Oilers tonight, Spec, they're a little mixed bag. They got some veteran guys, but Derek Ryan and Jay Woodcroft said this. Now, we don't know for sure, but if I'm looking at the roster, I think Derek Ryan's going to play center tonight. And so they're going to give that a test run, because basically if Raphael Lavoie makes the team, Derek Ryan's got to be your fourth line center. So you got to give him some shifts at center to see how it's going to go.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that's respectful of a player to say we may use you at center during the season anyway. You'll notice Ryan Nugent-Hopkins took the game at center already, right? He lines up as a winger on this team, but he's going to get a bunch of shifts at center here and there. The minute someone else gets hurt, you know who shifts to center. So it's good to give a guy a little warm-up game at center. Derek Ryan's not going to forget how at his age, but why not play him a little bit at center? He's not he's not choice number one as your fourth line center, but you make the point. If Lavoie knocks your socks off here and makes a team, it may be a decision you make.
Possibly. The lineup tonight, for those who don't know, Jack Campbell's going to start in goal. You got Ceci and Kulak and Desharnais, Niemelainen and Kempt, Hoffenmeyer and Peter. So one of them probably won't go. Although I guess maybe they could go 11-7 if they really wanted. Kajula, Ryan, McKaig, Peterson, Griffith, Malone, Fogle, Savoy, Borgo, Holloway, Hamblin, and Raphael Lavoie are the forwards. So, Derek Ryan's going to be on the NHL roster. Warren Fogle, Dylan Holloway will be on the NHL roster. After that, maybe Raphael Lavoie. maybe Lane Peterson potentially. We'll see. So it's not a heavyweight roster compared to, like, you look at Calgary. Anderson, Tanev, Hanifin are all playing on the back end. Huberdeau, Backlund, Coleman, Lindholm, Dubé. They're and Nazem Kadri. They're going with the home roster as they should. But I think tomorrow's spec is when we start to see 75% of rosters on both teams be NHL rosters down to the final four. And, the Oilers might make some more cuts tomorrow morning with some players because they have their team bonding trip. I'm not sure they want everybody on that trip. We'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if it. And so then you kind of get a little bit better of a sense of what's happening.
Yeah, listen, this is, what do they say, Jay? It's a process and a dull one some days. But they're going to send a handful, like I'm going to guess maybe 10 or 11 guys even from Calgary straight down to Bakersfield. They won't come back to Edmonton. There's guys that are packing a pretty heavy suitcase on the plane this afternoon because they're not getting on the plane tonight going back to Edmonton. They're going back to Baco. So the roster's going to knock down a little bit right there. So, and we talked about this, by the time they get back from Seattle, they're going to be down to about 25, 24 guys, I'd say. So it's time. Everyone's, they've had the captain skates. It's not a matter of being in shape.
Yeah.
It's more a matter of the few guys who need to prove something. They all need to get their chance, and guys like Lavoie, they're getting their chance. The guy we should talk about too a little bit is Desharnais. I think we've overlooked him a little bit.
In the sense of what? Have you liked his game?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it. I talked to him today. I'm writing him tomorrow. But he's, we always get caught up, and every city's the same. We get caught up with the sexy first-round Swedish defenseman like Broberg, and we want him to turn out, and he skates so wonderfully. And we're also talking about an Oilers team that's got to figure out how to keep the puck out of their net, right?
Yeah.
The most important improvement the Oilers have to make this year is to get scored on less.
Yes.
And I don't think in our wildest dreams, Broberg is – I'm not saying he can't play. I'm not saying he might not be a really good player one day. I don't know. But I don't think he's the solution to that question. I think Desharnais is, right? I think Desharnais is the solution to that question. If he improves a little bit, played 36 games last year, why wouldn't he be a little bit better this year? If he improves a little bit, puck play improves a little bit, he may be one of the answers to knocking your goals against down. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I have no problem with Desharnais. I've been pretty bullish on him from the start of training camp. I think it's his spot to lose. I think Broberg has to outplay him, honestly, to start on the right side. A, Desharnais's a right shot. B, he brings a physical element that Broberg doesn't have. Was good on the penalty kill. So I think, now both can play. That's the crazy part. You could easily, they're not going to sit out the defenseman and just play 12 forwards every game. We know that's not happening, right? So in the month of October, could there be 4 games where they're 11-7 and 4 games where they're 12-6? Very likely, very plausible that happens. But I think Desharnais, I think when camp started, I had him as the incumbent spec on the third pair right defense.
Right. And as it turns out, now it's changed a little bit. If he's going to go Ceci and Kulak, we're all going to call that your third pair. And whoever wins the Broberg-Desharnais contest gets Matthias Ekholm as their partner. So, when I look at let's just say for fun, you're playing a game with Matthias Ekholm and Desharnais as your second pair, and your first pair is going to be,
Nurse and Bouchard.
Nurse and Bouchard, which is a pretty nice pair. And your third pairing is Ceci and Kulak, which as a third pairing, I like them a lot. I think you just got a lot harder to score on right there before you even start playing zone defense and you engage your forwards and all those things. I don't mind that defensive setup, Jay, in terms of keeping the puck out of my net.
I'm kind of curious about the Broberg, Desharnais. Are they going to go with Ekholm? They might, right? They look and say, hey, Ekholm settled down Bouchard when he came in. He was a young guy. Now Bouchard, he can play a lot of minutes. He's a big, tall body, 6'3". You know what? And because if you play with Nurse, you're going to play a lot of minutes. That's just a fact, right? Like Nurse plays the most minutes on the team, especially with Ekholm have yet to play a preseason game. Like anybody who thinks Darnell Nurse isn't leading the Oilers in ice time again this year isn't paying attention. It's going to happen. But so I don't know. I need to see if that's what they do. Like, and Cody Ceci 2 years ago, Cody Ceci was outstanding in the role. Like he was a bargain at 3.25 in the amount of minutes he played with Darnell Nurse. And last year was a little bit banged up at times. I'm curious to see if Cody Ceci bounces back because I think Cody Ceci's back. Like I look, and if Vincent Desharnais basically plays the same style of Cody Ceci, defensive-minded guy, doesn't bring a ton of offense, but he's bigger, he's more physical. He might be the guy that pushes Cody Ceci out here in the next year if Cody Ceci doesn't step up.
Well, listen, that's fair. Like, if I'll tell you this, Ceci has a year left after this one, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, in his contract. And I mean, I just said to you, if he's my third pairing right side defenseman, I think I like my defense a lot. You know, in terms of being able to defend. He's been a top 4 defenseman most of his career. You know, middle second pairing guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say to you that if all of a sudden I got guys that pass him by and he's my third pairing defenseman, what are they paying Cody Ceci?
3.25.
3.25, right? That's what I remember. So my point is this: all of a sudden you're paying your third pair defenseman 3.25. That's a little steep, right? On a cap challenge team. So you know, it's up to Cody Ceci to stay in the top 4 to justify that salary. I don't think there's many teams want to look at their 5-6 pairing and have one of the guys make it 3.25. That's probably too much, Jay.
Well, when the other guy makes 2.75, so it averages at 3. So there's 6 mil in your third. Yeah, it's
that's pretty hefty.
Yeah, definitely could be hefty for sure. Spec, have a good weekend. We will talk to you on Monday. Your TV is your employer is covering the Oilers Canucks game on Saturday, so people will be able to watch that on television.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's been a good weekend of hockey, Jay. Talk to you on Monday.
That's Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. The Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. We'll come back. We have the Fantasy Report. We'll get to Action Electrical and more. Also, the final half hour, always where the bids come in. We'll see J-Dog and Don where they're at. Brent's currently at $700 for the Iron Maiden tickets. Low seats for them and a parking pass on Saturday night. We'll return on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, sports fans, we've got
to you by Christensen Communities. Have peace of mind knowing your loved one is in the best possible hands. Christensen Communities have safe retirement living options across the province. Now welcoming new residents. Visit cdlhomes.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor, Wanye Gretz, Connor Halley with you. Thanks for joining us on a positive Friday on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. The order lineup tomorrow night likely will include McDavid and Draisaitl, which now I wonder, now it's a road game, but it's also on TS. If that's the best way to touch your whole fan base is to have McDavid and Draisaitl play in the games that are on television. Marketing 101.
We don't want Connor to get too many points, though, Gregor. We don't want him to do too well.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not agreeing with that take.
NHL.com.
Yeah, I can't get on board with that. I don't see how it's a negative. I don't. And I don't see the correlation to what you do in the regular season individually, point totals of one player. Because look, the Oilers' bottom six guys, they produced quite well last year in the regular season. Then you got to playoffs, didn't happen. They weren't waiting around in the regular season. I don't think they magically stopped waiting around. They didn't play as well, right? It happens. And some years your top six guys don't score. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes. Sometimes there's not much you can do about it. You just got to hope that it gets going. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton, where if you're looking for a great vehicle, whether it's a S60 car, maybe you want the XC90 SUV, you can get a new one, a demo, or certified pre-owned Volvo for only 1.49% financing right now at volvoedmonton.com as we welcome in gentleman who has been stoking the fires, pushing for Raphael Lavoie to make the team. Alan Mitchell, a.k.a. Lowetide, host right here on Sports 1440, weekdays, noon until 2. Al, I know you were waiting with bated breath. Game number 2 for Raphael Lavoie. What are you expecting from the big man?
Well, I'd like to see what he did the other night where he drove to the net hard, kind of a power forward move, and he also flattened the guy. Look, this is going to be a tough test for all of them, but I'd rather they put him in a game where he's challenged and to be able to see what he can do. I know a lot of people are saying that Sutter has the job, but I mean, we all agreed before camp that the last 3 or 4 games of the preseason would be where we found out if Sutter's foot speed was enough, and it seems like what I'm reading is it's fait accompli, and I just don't agree with it because you want to see the veteran be able to play well, and he has, but the challenge is coming, and for Lavoie, I think it's good that he's playing in tough waters right now, because if he does play well, if he scores a goal, say, I think you've got to kind of recognize that, and he's auditioning for other teams too. I think he's in a good spot going down to Calgary and playing with a bunch of unproven guys. If he can do well again, then I think he's probably moving up the depth chart, or at least getting stronger consideration.
I think he's going to play back-to-back. I'm going to say that right now. Regardless of how he plays tonight, I think you're going to see Raphael Lavoie play again tomorrow. And, and where there's probably going to be more of an NHL lineup on both sides.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that you're looking at the thing about Lavoie is that he doesn't have any options. He's the one guy who's not, you can't slide him through waivers. You can send Holloway down. I don't think they would send Derek Ryan on waivers, but there are other ways. There's always injuries that pop up. So I think people are worried about Raphael Lavoie in a way they shouldn't be. I'd be interested in knowing if he plays well enough and there is trade interest. I've mentioned Jake Evans in Montreal as a possibility. I still think that there's a possibility of a Clean Costin type trade if it's out there. Now Sutter has played well, but let's see later in the training camp, later in the preseason, if he's still playing as well when mostly NHL rosters are there.
I'm wondering, LT, if you had a chance to look at some of the early Connor Bedard highlights. They had a game against the Blues the other night, and he was flashing and dashing around. What are your thoughts on him so far in the preseason?
He's amazing. The one thing I wonder about, and this is, I'm not able to know if his foot speed is brilliant, but if he has, like McDavid, his speed was so good and his hands are so great at high speed, he can just pass people. I think Bedard's speed is less than that, but if he's able to, with his hands and his ability to change the trajectory just before he shoots, if he has the kind of speed that can separate at all in the NHL, then we're looking at another ridiculous generational talent.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. It's more like, to me, I still see him in the vein of Patrick Kane. And Patrick Kane, man, for like a decade was the highest scoring player in the league, right? Like, and so it's not a knock just because he's not McDavid. Well, yeah, because he doesn't skate like McDavid. Nobody does. But man, I think he might shoot better than Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane might be a better stick handler overall. But I see that a similarity there, maybe a little bit more of a shooting winger than Patrick Kane ever was. But that's the guy I'm like, man, if he has a career like Patrick Kane, they should be doing cartwheels, because Patrick Kane was not only productive, he was highly, highly effective in crunch time in the postseason, Al. And I think that's that'd be ideal for them.
When I see Bedard, I think of he's almost like a video game, because after he scores the goal, you'll go back and look at it, and a bunch of things happen just before he shoots the puck. And I don't know where he developed that skill, but he really does do the kind of thing that coaches talk about, but he does it naturally, and I think it deceives the goaltender, and really good goaltenders. I think the one thing that could keep him from the Calder Trophy is what kept McDavid from it, and that's injury. And we don't know yet if he can go through an NHL season unscathed. Young players, they're teenagers, and they're going to be playing against men, and they will be targeted.
Oh, there's no question. Al Mitchell joins us. You mentioned Raphael Lavoie. So I'm going to throw a scenario at you, Al. Lavoie obviously needs waivers. Philip Broberg doesn't need waivers. Do you think there's any chance the Oilers say, you know what? And because the cap space is basically the same, right? When you look at Lavoie's 874, Broberg's 863. Do you think they would say, we're going to start 13 and go 13-6 for a game or two?
Well, and it's not a bad idea. I think Niemelainen has played well enough to maybe at least push Broberg. I don't think it'll come to that. I think Broberg's a seventh guy, but I hadn't thought of that. That is an interesting point, and you're not, you can call a guy up game day of. It's dangerous, but I mean, in the short term, if you had to, based on what I'm reading and what I've seen, I think Desharnais has held serve with the sixth spot. So if you did that and then saved. Because I think all of these things, what happens is sooner or later you send the guy down, or you trade him, or he establishes himself. So all of those things are in play. But I mean, it has merit, at least worth at least thinking about.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying I would do it, but it's an option, right? And it doesn't impact the salary cap, because it's basically apples in, apples out in cap space regards. Al, the other one is, you look at the NFL, or sorry, let's go to Steve Staios, and like probably the worst kept secret ever that Steve Staios was going to Ottawa. This is being talked about now for 6 weeks. I don't understand why it was never announced prior. I guess because he couldn't say he was there, so I get it. Right? And he didn't want to step down before he's leaving, but I'm like, well, why? What's the point? Like, the Oilers had taken him off their website, everything like that. Pierre Dorion, does he last a full season in Ottawa?
I don't see how. I mean, unless they just spike like crazy, I don't like. Some organization, like Columbus is another example. They've had the GM there forever. The window of opportunity sometimes with losing teams can be longer than with teams that are contenders. And I think that Ottawa, Dorion's had a lot of opportunity. I think maybe because of the rebuild phase, and because of the nature of the ownership and where it was, he might have gotten another year or two. But I mean, if the new owner is coming in as he seems to be with guns a-blazing, I think you could see a new GM and coach and complete turnover here. The only question is if you can't find your guy until next summer, maybe you wait a year.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly it. I get, you wait, you see, and Steve Stais, because it's a unique scenario that you have an experienced GM who, like, it's different. I know it's kind of similar to Edmonton because, Jeff Jackson doesn't have as much experience as Ken Holland, but Ken Holland's in the last year of his deal, and there's a lot of people who think that he's going to retire after as a GM, I should say. I think he would stay on as a consultant. I don't think he would just walk away. I think he would just look at a reduced workload. I think that's very possible. If he wants, although who knows, maybe the fire burns and he's like, no, I'm coming back. I'll stay on as GM for another year and we'll see where it goes. But Stais is totally different. Like, he doesn't have the Ken Holland resume, right? Pierre Dorian's got way more experience, but Stais is his boss and he's there for long term. It's not like Dorian is planning on retiring.
Yeah, no, it's like, I think you have to really look at, if you're the owner and then Stais coming in, you have to look at this should be a strong team. I mean, there's a lot of good things this team has going for it right now. And it seems like every year with the Senators, everybody's excited about the team. It looks like things are going to go well. They got off to a terrible start, and then they're under pressure all year. And I mean, I don't have an answer. They seem to have a lot of injuries. Sometimes it's goaltending, but at some point in time, I think you change the mix. And my guess is it's next spring at the end of the year. Maybe they're going to give them the year because Dorian's there. They just announced Stais. They had to delay that announcement. So it would seem that die is cast to start the year anyway.
Al, your Eagles, big game against the Washington Commanders this weekend. What do you see unfolding there?
I don't trust games against the Washington Commanders. The Eagles are a really good team. They play most teams well, but the Commanders somehow, I don't know, it's always weird against the Commanders. I hate that name, first of all, but I never trust a game. If they're going to lose in the first 4 or 5 games, it probably will be to the Commanders. They just don't play against them well. I don't know what it is.
Well, Al, why don't you take some time, crunch some analytics for me, and next Friday you can tell us why they don't succeed against Washington, okay?
And then you could have me explain why Lavoie was on waivers and not picked up. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? I don't think it's a guarantee he gets picked up. Do you?
No, I agree. I agree with you. But he's a good goal scorer, and man, they have value.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They totally do. So, have a great weekend, Al.
All right, you too, boys.
Al Mitchell, aka Lowetide. You can listen to him noon to 2 right here on Sports 1440. That was the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. We'll come back with little Wanye's World as well as the Fantasy Report and more. Lots of text flying in, 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. We'll get to that and more when we come back in the eWell studio on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
professional athletes use aquatic therapy, radial shockwave, zero gravity treadmills, and rheumatic recovery devices for rehab. Leading Edge Physiotherapy offers those to you because sports shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. Dawn is back in at 800 now for the Iron Maiden tickets tonight, or tomorrow night, excuse me. Tomorrow night. Also, Dawn asking on a Positive Friday. Big shout out to the Boychuk family. Mike, unfortunately, passed away at the age of 55. On a day when I lost my father, 56, I definitely think about his wife and their kids, and hopefully the whole Boychuk family is doing okay today on a Positive Friday. Let's get to now Wanye's World, brought to you by Action Electrical, where, hey, guess what? If you're looking, you're on the fence maybe. Well, guess what? You got a $5,600 grant if you want to get solar in your house, and you can get up to $40,000 in interest-free loan. Get all of the info. And that's courtesy of the Canadian government, by the way. Go to actionelectrical.net. They'll help you out. Here's Wanye's World.
It's nice I get to have a rant. It's good. I feel good about myself. You know what I do not enjoy, Gregor? I do not enjoy the Heritage Classic jersey design one bit. It's too old. Why are we looking back 80 years for graphic design inspiration? We want to grow the game. We want to get kids excited. You know what kids are excited about? Teams that played 80 years before they were born. That's what kids like. They say, oh, the Mercury's, how wonderful. Can I watch them? No, we don't have any footage of them because they predate the camera by 80 years. Look at the Leafs. You don't want to look to them for any kind of example of what to do, but they got the Bieber Drew line out there designing the new jersey. The kids love it. They line up. It's brought to you by Milk. The Heritage Classic jerseys are brought to you by 1940s graphic design. I'm not here for it. Those brown pants, not here for those either.
You don't like the brown pants?
We had someone on Twitter make them blue. Looks much better. Will I buy the jersey? Of course. But will I laugh at it at the back of my closet? Yes. It's not a nice jersey.
The one thing I like about the jersey is, and just because it's weird, I like how they have the C over the line in the shoulder, because that's what it was like back in 42. And it was, I saw a few people saying, hey, like the two teams that they have in Calgary, they didn't play each other, right? So, you know what? Hey, they put a lot of thought into it. I understand it. You might be onto something. I wonder, like, if you make a jersey that's just special and new about today. Now, again, it's the Heritage Classic, but here's the funny thing about fashion is when you bring back bell-bottom pants, suddenly everybody likes it.
Sure.
Right? But I will tell you, think about the fact that the mum jeans that I call them, like the high-waisted jeans, you can have the best rump going and suddenly you got a horse butt. I don't care who you are. It looks terrible, but people like them. So I'm not really sure. I think it's a unique thing. It's almost like if Connor McDavid goes out and wears that jersey, he's like, this jersey's awesome, the kids will like it.
Remember when he wore those pants with the string shoelace belt?
Yes.
Did that catch on?
No, because he only wore it once.
It did not catch on.
He only wore it once.
He was too fashion forward.
Might have been. But had he talked about it, had he done a little fashion state, all of a sudden the kids would have been wearing it.
You get Cardi B to design the new Heritage Classic jersey, I'm in. She's fashion forward. She's looking ahead 10 years, not back 90. That's how you grow the game. Cardi B.
All right. Okay. J-Dog is, was it J-Dog who's up to 750 cons?
No, Brent is up to 850.
850, sorry.
Yes.
850 with Brent. See, it always happens. I love it.
Don and J-Dog got to get in here.
Don and J-Dog.
It's a battle between two titans.
Oh, it is. I like it. So there's the first Wanye's World, which you do every Friday, brought to you by Action Electrical. Some other news and notes around the sporting world. Of course, the Toronto Blue Jays are just hoping to get a win. Here, they did get a big win last night. And now they're taking on Tampa Bay. And good start for the Jays as they are up 1-0 in the top of the third and now have a runner on first base. So the Jays against the... What's interesting, though, you could make an argument if you were just looking at numbers that the Jays finishing sixth would be better because they'd face Minnesota, who has like 8 or 9 fewer wins than Tampa Bay, who's the fourth place team. But Tampa Bay is ravaged by injuries right now. So if you're and the way the Jays are playing, I don't think they want to lose on purpose. So I think the Jays are going to try to win as much as they can this weekend. I think if they win one, they pretty much almost lock themselves a guarantee into the 5 slot. Well, maybe not a guarantee, but pretty darn close. So I like baseball, man. I love the playoffs in baseball. I love the new format. I was not a big fan of the one and done. I didn't like you play all year. You play 162 games just to play one extra. I'm like, meh. Now you get a 3-game series. And the Jays are starting on the road. That's the rule. It's 3 games all in the home park, that's baseball, right? You have 3-game series all the time that are 3 on the road, sometimes 4. So I don't think it's an advantage, sure, for the home team, but I don't think it's like a crazy one. Whereas like the NHL never really has that. You don't play 2 games in a row in the regular season at a team's plays and then play 3, right? The playoff series has always been 2-2. That's fine. So you wouldn't play, we're going to have a best of 5 and all 5 games are going to be in Edmonton that would never happen. So
just that one year.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Touche. But there was no fans.
Well, so, come on.
It was like, it was very quiet.
It was quiet.
That. It was and cold.
Not as quiet as Arizona next season. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, guys, solid rant. I'm with them. That one comes from Lalo.
Lalo, you're my best friend.
Joanne asks, define heritage.
Well, things from 80 years ago, Joanne, according to you.
If you look up it's no. Heritage actually is about inheritance.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. I'm going to look it up. I'm pretty sure heritage means inherit. Let me look. Okay. Property that is or may be inherited.
Yeah.
An inheritance. That's heritage, right? Or a special or individual possession, an allotted portion. There you go.
The NFL is showing
It's got to be more.
Toy Story animations.
Denoting a traditional brand or product regarded as emblematic or of fine craftsmanship.
Are they using a cartoon from 80 years ago to show the NFL game, or are they using a present-day Toy Story? They want to grow the game for the children. That's a heritage I can get behind.
But I'm curious, are kids the one buying jerseys, though? Or is it not young adults who are spending hockey jerseys? I would love, you know what? I'll have to reach out and find out who's like, I'll ask Kelly at United Cycle.
Jerseys are expensive now.
Well, that's my point. So is it not the vast majority of sales to adult-sized jerseys over kids? I'm thinking it's adults. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking it's adults. Hence, they're trying to go, and adults love the retro. People love retro.
You know how I get my jerseys, Gregor? In a sea container from rural China.
Yeah.
I'll buy hundreds of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Everyone's name's misspelled. Good value.
No, I'm sure it is. It's great. It's great value.
Is that Fanatics you get them from?
No. Fanatics.
Oh, zing. Oh, you know what? I remember we talked about Fanatics once on the show. People were fired up. Like they were not happy.
No.
When Fanatics got that deal.
If you ship an NFL jersey with one oversized and one undersized number, people are going to lose it.
Ooh. I have to say, guys, Wanye's pretty funny. Predates the camera. It's true.
What's that person's name?
Lalo again.
Again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys know I text in as Lalo, right?
Yeah, well, I was looking at your phone.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't you.
Got to get a little PR in.
Yeah. No.
Call me Lalo.
And actually, no, there was someone else, no name, who says, this one, you guys, pretty funny.
Oh.
/ no name.
Thanks, Lalo.
There you go. Let's get to the fantasy report brought to you by Next Gen Transportation. Heavy haul transport provider. They are hiring. If you know what? You can skip leg day all day at Next Gen Transport, but you will work for an unreal company. And they have some massive projects coming up. So it'll be lots of work, and they're hiring at nextgentransportation.com. Connor Halley, your 2 must starts, not the obvious ones. Who are your 2 must starts in fantasy football this weekend? Who are the matchups you like? Not the like you can't tell me, hey, start Jefferson. Well, thanks, tips.
Okay. I feel like I'm looking for sleepers here if you're saying not the obvious. Okay, here's one, a guy who's not rostered in too many leagues. You probably got him on your waiver wire. I'm going to say Josh Palmer of the LA Chargers going into this week up against the Las Vegas Raiders, the Raiders secondary. I mean, you can attack it. And Keenan Allen coming off a performance where he had 18 receptions, you know that they're going to be focused on him. They're going to be trying to blitz, get after Justin Herbert. I think Joshua Palmer, friend of the show, is primed to go off this week for your Los Angeles Chargers, everyone's favorite team. Another one, I don't know if is he really a sleeper at this point for the Miami Dolphins? I know he went off crazy last week.
But what did he have before that game?
One carry for 5 yards.
Right.
So he's someone, you might say he's boom or bust. I think with that offense, they kind of realized, okay, we have something. He ran a 4.340, coming out of college. He can light it up. And if Jalen Waddle's good to go, that's just someone else that, opposing defenses are going to have to watch out for when you play the Miami Dolphins on top of Tyreek Hill or Raheem Mostert. So I think if you have him in your league and you're hesitating about, do I go with him? Could it have been a 1 week type thing? No, you got to go with him. Don't expect 4 touchdowns and a couple hundred yards every week. But I think he's due to go off every game now here for a couple big runs, couple touchdowns, maybe just one, but I think he's going to become a reliable fantasy football starter because the Miami Dolphins, they showed you they'll put up points and they don't mind keeping it going. Like they'll just keep on keeping on. So there's a couple guys I think you might have some good starts coming out of this week.
The other news coming out of the NFL today, I'm not sure if you guys talked about it or not, but they have reinstated Lions receiver Jameson Williams and Titans offensive lineman Nicolas Petit-Frere. Those guys were suspended because they were caught betting in the locker room. But the NFL, they've adjusted their gambling policy. If you bet, they've actually increased the penalty for if you bet on NFL games. If you're caught betting on an NFL game, it's a minimum 1 year suspension, or 2 if he bets on a contest involving his own team. So it's 1 year. Any attempted game fixing is a permanent ban in the NFL, but they've lowered the penalty if you bet on other sports in the workplace. So if you're sitting there and you're a huge NBA fan, or you're a huge MLB fan, for instance, and you're just like, oh my God, you can't wait till you leave the facility. Maybe you got a problem, just saying. But now that'll be a 2-game suspension for first-time offense.
You should be just forced to disclose who you're betting on. So you should be able to bet on your own team. Like, I'm putting it all on myself this week. That's good policy. It's betting on the other teams you shouldn't be allowed to do.
Because, see, you know what's funny? I somewhat agree with that. Like, if a player's betting on his team to win every week.
That's genius.
Like, why? How would that be? You're not match fixing. You want to win.
You're only allowed to bet on yourself.
You're only allowed to bet on your team to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't bet to lose.
No. Make me commissioner of the NFL. Yeah. Finally, at long last. I can name 4 of the 30 teams.
Yeah. No. So we'll see. So the con man. Miami, Buffalo. I think that's the game of the weekend in the NFL. Who you picking?
I will say Miami. Tough to slow it off.
Miami or Buffalo? Who you
Miami's
taking?
Epic.
Miami is epic right now. So it's hard to pick against them. But for fun, I'm taking the Bills. Let's go Bills. On behalf of Wanye Gretz, Connor Halley, Jason Gregor, thanks so much for tuning into the show all week long. Thank you. Remember, Sunday, Fox Sports debuts right here on Sports 1440, 24/7 weekends and 21 hours a day during the weekdays. Sports coverage, it's expanding at Sports 1440. Let's get to an update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. Please don't drink and drive. Have a safe weekend. Here's Connor Halley. We're out.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. Oilers in action down in Calgary, taking on the Flames. Puck drop 7 o'clock. Elsewhere, you got the Leafs, Habs, Jets, Sens, and Flyers, and Bruins. The Senators making some news today, appointing Steve Staios as their new president of hockey operations. Staios joined the Sens after resigning from his post with the Edmonton Oilers. Major League Baseball, the Jays in action right now. They lead 1-0. Alejandro Kirk with a solo shot over the Rays. That one's in the bottom of the third. Still to come tonight, the Athletics and Anaheim Diamondbacks host the Astros. Mariners take on the Rangers, and Dodgers up against the Giants. The Oil Kings, they're in action as well. Down at Rogers Place, taking on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. That gets going at 7 o'clock in the CFL. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking on the Argos at 6. Then at 8:30, BC hosting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And down at Foot Field tonight, Regina up against the Golden Bears. That one starts at 7 o'clock. We're done for the weekend, except for Sunday when Fox Sports joins the Sports 1440 family with all your NFL coverage. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports